Vast ahoy and g'day once again to ye mateys. I be Josh the Pirate, and I be back for another Tactics Tuesday. And in honour of Pride Month, I thought I would have a look at a very LGBT game. For those who do not know me, hi, I'm Josh the Pirate. You can find me here on my channel Corsair's Cove, where I run D&D and other RPGs, including, I plan to be running this game later in this month, again in honour of Pride Month. I am a member of the LGBTQIA community. I am a non-binary person. Hey Kate, lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. Yes, I've always had an issue with saying I'm a member of the LGBTQIA community because I've never really participated in it. But I am a massive ally, and I am a non-binary person. Yes, you can be a part of a community without participating in it, so I suppose I am. But I consider myself more of an ally than an actual participant. But that doesn't mean I can't love the all the stuff that goes alongside it. And my journey to knowing more about the LGBTQIA community is ongoing. And even if you're not a member of it, it is still worth understanding and knowing about said community. We will be having a bunch of fun, cool shit coming up, but I will talk about that later. For now, I will just mention that we are affiliated with Wooten Forge Gaming Accessories. Wooten Forge creates some amazing hardwood gaming products like this gorgeous dice keeper. Where I have all of my gorgeous dice, mostly, but not all, of which are roll with advantage dice. But I do have some Wooten Forge dice as well. This little boxlet contains, they don't, but they're affiliated with a group of people who make stone dice, and you can get them through their web store at woodenforge.com/Corsairs Cove. Link in the chat. And hey, Absalom Dak, good to see you, mate. So yes. Normally on these Tactics Tuesdays, I usually go through a large number of games. However, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is the subject of today's in-depth deep dive, is quite a big one. Some 250 pages, as I recall. Let's have a look. Yes, 224 all up. Now, I will endeavour to... Basically, what I'm wanting to do is learn how to DM it, because I plan to. And also, get my head around the art, get my head around the gameplay element, how it works. But a good way to do that is always to build a character for it. So I will also endeavour to try and figure that out. So this is Thirsty Sword Lesbians by the Gay Spaceship Games, which is really fun. There is an awful lot. Evil Hat Productions, publication in partnership with Gay Spaceship Games. I acquired it through the, hey, NVC, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for joining me. Yes, there is, I acquired this one through the Trans Rights for Florida bundle, and I've already had a little squiz. I've already had a dirty little squiz, I was like, okay, maybe we take a step back. What a bunch of good eggs in chat. Exactly, Kate. Agree completely. Yes. For those who are not aware, Karen and I did lose our bunny, Tori, on Saturday, which is why we did not stream last night, sadly. And Karen was considering it this evening, but we are still... yes, she is still didn't think she could face it this evening, which I think is completely fair, which is why I'm here solo. She will be back on Thursday night, but that's, we anticipate. We appreciate your understanding and the lovely community that we have here. We appreciate massively all the love we've received on the Discord. It's great. We offer, yes. We appreciate the heck out of you, our lovely community, for supporting us during this. It's a bit of a time. He was 7.5 years old, which is a decent age for a rabbit. But he was our first pet we ever got together. Unless you count a bunch of chickens that we gave away after about 3 months. We never intended to get them. They just sort of happened to us. It's a whole thing, and I'll explain later. Yes, we had them in an apartment. Not recommended. But yeah, we got him Christmas 2015. And yeah, it was... he was not well. He got very sick very quickly. It was like 2 days. Not even. It was under 48 hours. He went from being perfectly healthy to he's dead now. So that was Rusty. Rubinski King, hey buddy, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Hey Morphs, Dragon Kier, my love, how are you, my dear? Absalom Dak as well. Lovely to see you all. MVCDM says they're more of a neutral orb, but hey, that's true. I've never considered myself oblong. Not a game this time? What's going on? Not a game this time. I am. Rubinski King, what I do on Tuesday evenings is I have a look at a new gaming system, or normally a bunch of them, but this one's a big one. And in honor of Pride Month, I'm going to have a look at Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which I saw on Kickstarter a while back. And I was like, I don't have the pennies for it right now, to be honest. However, I acquired it through, acquired it completely legally through the Trans Rights for Florida bundle, and I've always been meaning to have a look at it. And seeing as it's Pride Month, and I'm a member of the Pride community, the LGBT community, I'm going to have a look at it and see if I can figure out how to DM it, because I want to DM it, and I want one of our lovely people in chat to be a part of that stream. So yeah, Rubinski King, I don't just stream games, I also stream How Does games. So yeah, there you go. Okay, got that bundle with like 100. Yeah, it had so many. Yes. Only one. Of the people who I believe are currently in chat, yes. As in Florida, as a Florida, it isn't great. Yeah, no, it's not ideal. The wonderful Cato Sullivan brought it to my attention, and I was just like, oh, I will give you twice as much as the asking price for this ridiculous selection. Go back, check out some of our VODs, because... I have had a look at a lot of the games from that. Only the one. Why not Zoidberg? Wonderful. Who's she? She sounds like an idiot. She sounds like a marvelous individual who has a show in the Melbourne Fringe that you should all see if you're in a Melbourne person. If you're a Melbourne-based person and you like going to the Fringe, you could go do far worse with your time than go and see All the Best Roles Written for Men, starring the excellent Cato Sullivan. Yes. Dragon Kier says, do not bully Cato Sullivan. No, compliments. Ah! It's Dragon will smite. If you are in Melbourne and you have a Fringe, you must see the show. I mean, I don't have a Fringe and I'm not in Melbourne, and I've still seen the show. It is a must-see. Can recommend. Very wow. So, let's have a looklet at this gamelet. Introduction. Thirsty Sword Lesbians battle tyrannical ruler when her enforcers march down from the frosty north. They rocket through the stars to safeguard diplomats, ending generations-old conflict. They sip tea together and share shy glances in the corner cafe until they need to take up their swords to defend their community. Even in conflict, they seek peace with their opponents and sometimes connect more deeply than anyone expects. Your Thirsty Sword Lesbians may be fantasy heroes or may inhabit a galaxy of laser swords and starships. Anywhere that swords cross and hearts race, Thirsty Sword Lesbians are there. Regardless of hair, go to Melbourne, see show, and PAX, all in 1 week. Perfect. I intend to. Love swords and adventure. A sword duel can end in kissing. A witch can gain her power by helping others find love. And an entire campaign can be built around wandering matchmakers flying from planet to planet. I love that idea. A positive community. Whether it's an entire planet, a knightly order, or just the coven to which the protagonists belong, you are part of a community that embodies important ideals worth fighting for, even as you strive to make it better. Misogyny, transphobia, racism, and other forms of bigotry are not the norm here, though they may be the norm elsewhere if players wish to confront these issues. being a thirsty sword lesbian. As a thirsty sword lesbian, you can change the world for the better by acting with integrity and compassion. Fight when something is worth fighting for. Redeem or seduce adversaries. Make out, dance and carouse. Solve problems with courage, wit and style. Deliver singers and bon mots. Make lasting friends and enemies. Ready? Let's go. So, the only thing I would say thus far is, in my experience, you can do all of that in most D&D or other similar RPG games if they are well run and played with good people. But let us make this a continuation of that concept, because I agree completely. But the trick is, this one was made with that specifically in mind. What is this book? It's a PDF on a computer screen. Haha! Thirsty Sword Lesbians is a role-playing game for telling queer stories with friends. If you love angsty disaster lesbians with swords, you've come to the right place. I mean, who doesn't? All of these phrases, like angsty disaster lesbians, would be a solid name for the game. Even if you have never played a role-playing game, this book contains everything you need to learn how to play and run the game, including some scenarios to get you started and guidance on how to create your own romantic adventure. The basics! The role-playing game is essentially a game of improvisation and storytelling, with some rules to help you and your friends enjoy themselves. Yes, the one person plays the role of the Game Master, which is, yes, absolutely excellent, well done. It was right there and they took it. Support that entirely. You are telling a story together, and the GM and PCs have different roles. The GM presents the world. I mean, I think I can skip this because I know how to play D&D. Yeah, Game Master Epsilon, solid, right? Solid. Playing the game. The game begins as soon as you gather with your friends and are ready to bring your imaginary world to life. Some groups find it helpful to use a ritual to signal that the group's focus is moving to the game, such as lighting a candle, starting some background music, summarizing what happened the previous session. That is very helpful, as in summarizing is always useful. The goal of this game is that everyone has a good time. The following principles help make that happen. Player's agenda. Everyone at the table contributes to the story, the shared experience of playing the game, and shares the responsibility for making that experience a positive one. Yes? Agreed? It's one of the things that I am loving about... any game that's going to be in a bundle called Trans Rights for Florida bundle is gonna probably feature, or is probably more likely to feature, this sort of stuff. But I love seeing it, and it is really important. Hey, Tony. Good to see you, mate. How are ye? Bring the action. This is not a game of elaborate planning and strategy. Follow your heart. Dive headlong into adventure, and be larger than life. It's an average Thursday. Feel deeply and powerfully and often. The game invites you to feel deep and emotional conflict of your PC and care about other characters in the game. This game is about feeling things and forging relationships. Consider sharing your character's inner feelings every day, beginning in Y. Ending in Y. Yes, absolutely. Mother, you know I'm streaming. But she's being nice. She's going like, hey, how are you guys? Like, they heard about the bunny. The game influences you to feel deep emotional. Feeling emotions. No, thank you. We're not a fan of emotions, Rubinsky King. I think the trick is they're not necessarily your emotions, they're your character's emotions. I find role-playing adventures a really great way to... Have a good look, Tony. 1 foot out the door already. June 6th is Sweden's National Day. Ah! Yay, Sweden. Emotions. Weapon we all swing at the world. Yeah. Consider sharing your character's inner feelings so that the other characters at the table can play into those feelings. For instance, if your character has the frightened condition, you could use some emotional support. They are more likely to get that support if you tell the other players what your character is feeling. Likewise, foster an environment where your fellow players feel safe exploring intense feelings and potentially difficult topics. This is the trick. Sweden turns 500 years old today. Wow! Crazy. That's cool. I didn't know that. I thought, honestly, that Sweden was older than that. There you go, shows what I knew. I think it helps to roleplay emotions because they don't have to be yours, and it helps you understand how you go about it sometimes, or try something that you'd never use as a solution. I mean, yeah, as an example, seeing as we're in Pride Month and we're talking about it, I found my way to understanding my gender identity through roleplay gaming. It was really helpful to dip my toes into what it would be a little bit like to first try out a very androgynous character who wasn't like positively non-binary, but just had a very loose sense of their own gender identity, and also had memory and backstories from being both male and female. They were a Kalishtar, so they had like inherited memories from previous iterations of their own self. And that was a very interesting experience and really helped a little bit just. And then I tried several other characters that were sort of. There's always a little bit of me in my characters, and I find that I don't do it exclusively for therapy, but because who can afford that? But I have found playing with those elements of my personality in a safe environment with people who are nice and kind, and respectful of it has been very helpful for me, and could easily be in this situation as well. Be excited about the other PCs and shared stories. You are amazing badass queers. Make room and set up opportunities for other player characters to shine as well. Thirsty Sword Lesbians is a game about relationships. Think about how to create interesting and dramatic dynamics between player characters. Make sure to give other players a chance to think and make decisions on their own for their contributions to this story. That is a solid, again, it's good advice just for roleplay gaming generally. You don't have to be playing heavy-duty queer roleplay game to take that as setting up situations for other people to make interesting stories, make interesting decisions, is really good rule of thumb for playing D&D and other games anyway. It has been technically Sweden. It's a technicality. Sweden as a nation has been around since the 1250s-ish. But for a long time, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway was one nation under the Kalmar Union. And in June 6th, 1523, Gustav Vasa was crowned King of Sweden after kicking the Danish out. Poor old Norway was stuck to Denmark for a little while longer. Okay. Love a good spotlighting moment. Your turn! Shoves other player into spotlight. Absolutely, Kate. Agreed completely. Indeed, as a DM, and it's a good rule for DMs, if someone hasn't had a good spotlight moment for a little while, give them a chance to have one. See if you can't engineer one if your players aren't yet. Okay, go on. Take care, Tony. Have a nice day. Played the other day. It was awful. After 2 hours, I hadn't spoken for a total of 20 seconds. Wow. Couldn't get a word in edgewise, so I quit. Wow, Dak, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that. That's rough. Yeah. I have played with peeps like that. And again, yeah, I didn't come back. I didn't struggle. I'm quite a forceful personality at a table, and I was comfortably the most experienced role player at the table. But I bowed out because the DM couldn't get a frickin' word in. Noteworthily, only female at the table was the DM, the girlfriend of one of the others, and 4 dudes. And I'm like, plus me. And I'm like, I have several times to say, hey guys, let's listen to the DM, shall we? And that brought them right back around. And I'm just like, fucking, I should not have to be teaching you how to listen to the fucking dungeon master. So yeah, I stopped very quickly. It's just not fun. You'll definitely have more fun if you let other people help have more fun. It's almost like all the best roles in the game were being written for men. Shameless self-promotion. Almost, but not entirely like that, yes. Stand for justice and liberation. Many problems faced by Thirsty Sword Lesbians could be solved by talking or flirting, but not all. Not everyone is redeemable, and when emotions flare and blades clash, you may find that your opponent is too set in their ways, too comfortable with injustice, or just unrepentant. The player characters aren't perfect paragons of virtue. They may be gay disasters. They can be flawed people, but at the very least, their story arc should be them growing to stand for admirable principles. Flirts and zingers. You do not have to be witty or good at flirting in real life to play a character with those skills or to emulate those things through roleplay. The keys are collaboration and communication. If you're not sure what kind of romantic approach would be welcome with another character, you can simply ask the other player, gossip about them in character, or try and figure them out using game mechanics. I love this teaches you how to flirt, but actually like in real life. Show interest in their sword, offer to share food or drink, invite them closer, meet their eyes, then blush and look away. Meet their eyes with fiery gaze, pretend to be married to each other as part of a cover story. That's super fun. Terrace and I are currently doing that, using game mechanics. This isn't a game where players are at odds, even if characters may be in conflict sometimes. Generally, you'll want other players to know enough about your character to know how to approach them. You might drop hints or tell them outright. This kind of communication can take some of the guesswork out of flirting, which is not to say that guessing wrong can't be a ton of fun. I've got what? Show interest in their sword. Oh dear. Each time you say terrace, I think of my terrace. Takes me a hot second. Fair. My terrace is Terris. Terrace. And it's their actual name as well. Sir Terrace in chat, if they show up. They may. They're probably watching Jack Squarepeg right now. Share an embarrassing story or picture. Discover there's only one bed. Toss your hair in slow motion. Flower petals encouraged. Wipe a smudge of engine oil from their cheek. Oh. Tear a strip from your clothes to bind their wounds. Yes, obviously. Safety and consent. Very important. Also, I should learn from this page. It might be... To tell dramatic and meaningful stories, everybody involved needs to know that they are safe to do so. Game invites you to get invested in characters and have complicated and potentially vulnerable feelings and explore queer identities that are frequently targets for abuse in the broader society. Thirsty Sword Lesbians helps you create a safe environment for emotional roleplay in several different ways, though ultimately the words written here can't substitute for approaching one another with empathy and caring. First, the game is structured so that the player always gets to choose the actions of their character. The mechanics may tell you that an event has distressed the character, or that they believe a lie, or face some other circumstance, but the game never dictates what your PC must do. Instead, mechanics provide incentives and temptations, leaving the decision to the player. I like that. When I went about rewriting the Deck of Many Things, I was working specifically to avoid forcing the character to make to be something that the player did not want them to be, or had not deliberately chosen their own self. Yeah. I've always sucked at flirting in real life, Absalom Deck. I have not. I'm a massive flirt. Yeah, to the point where previous partners, my lovely partner at the moment, my lovely wife Karen, it is no way bothered by it, which is nice. It's good to know. But previous partners have been very upset by how flirtatious I am, and because I rarely flirt with people I'm actually interested with, is the big trick. If you want to see me in full flirtation mode, you should watch me and Terrace play Shadows of Amorna on the Lawrite on Friday nights. Yeah. That's fun. Because Terrace is just as bad as I am. Hilarious things follow. Yes, exactly. So, what do we got? That's really cool. I like that. Never forcing the player character to do something, but providing incentives and temptation to do so. Second, the game mechanics are always available if you find yourself in an emotional role-playing moment and need some distance from embodying your character's feelings. If you want to be flirting but playing out the conversation feels like too much, you can always suggest that it's a good time to roll the entice move and break character to use the mechanics. Finally, the game encourages you to use of specific safety tools on page 12 to build the themes of the game together, check in on one another, and or veto problematic elements of the narrative for the experience of play. By introducing safety tools at the start and keeping a reminder of them in the play area, you remind one another that your well-being is what's important. You also reduce the social barrier to expressing discomfort in the game takes a turn. If the game takes a turn that could make someone feel uncomfortable. At the end of each session, all player characters gain XP if anyone used a safety tool during the session. This can be as simple as checking in to see if everyone is comfortable or if anyone needs to take a break and refill their drink or go to the bathroom. Again, this one is a solid rule for life generally. No fascists or bigots allowed. I live by that my own self. You support racial liberation, intersectional feminism, and queer liberation. Respect transgender people, non-binary people, intersex people, and women. Oh, really? No, of course, obviously. Respect racialized people. Respect black, indigenous, mixed race people, and other people of color. Sex workers, disabled people, immigrants, lesbians, and other people with queer sexualities. Respect people experiencing poverty or homelessness. Neurodivergent people, such as those on the autism spectrum. Fat people and people of all body types. Do not demand that anyone educate you about their marginalizations. That's an interesting one and one I hadn't thought of, but yes. Very strong. It's a very good list of rules, yeah. It's almost like respect people is a life rule. It is, but... And I think it goes back to what we were talking about a couple of nights ago, Kate, that I think a lot of people just haven't given stuff thought before. It's not about a lack of respect, it's necessarily. It's about that simply hadn't occurred to them. For instance, Dragon Gear. I mentioned a while back that the Games Workshop in Perth City on Murray Street is wheelchair accessible. I apologize, it's not. I had just not considered well enough what wheelchair accessible really means. And I had a look at a picture of it. It's got a step in. It's on the high street, but there is a step. So yeah, better off sticking with the people with the one you found. Very few people do, and this is the trick. Yeah. Brain not doing the brain cell thing. Yeah, exactly. Well, also, I want to stress, I've never really hung out with somebody in a wheelchair before. it's just never crossed my path. Not through a want of, I just avoid it, I just never did. And there was oh shit, I had never given it any thought. So I apologize for that, because, yeah, one should give it thought. But yeah, I'm pretty confident the one in Morley Galleria is, however. You don't understand that wheelchair access requires until experiencing it, either in or on or beside it. Yeah. Wheelchair user for 41 years. Wow, Absalom Dak. I've never had any in the family, to my knowledge. Yeah, and I've never had any in my friend circles. I have had other people with other disabilities, but never wheelchair users. So So yeah, it was really just engaging brain for first time to actually genuinely consider what the real problems would be. Like, inside, it's fairly accessible. There is a ramp up to the main level, quite a long, shallow ramp, and it's quite wide, but there is a lip at the door. The hobby store I went to last week after finding them by accident because they had an item in stock I needed was purposefully accessible and really kind. That's, yeah, I'm never leaving them. They're stuck with me. Fair. Yeah, if you don't agree, fix your heart before sharing a table with other people. Wow. Yeah. If you do agree, but you're struggling with self-loathing or any aspect of your identity, that's understandable. We are taught to hate ourselves in so many ways. Come on in, and let's celebrate existence and the joy of people like us. Oh, heartwarming. Yes. Safety tools. Create a palette of concepts that you want to include and concepts you don't want to include in the game. Do this together as a group to get on the same page about what excites you all. Make sure that there's a way for people to add to this list anonymously if desired through the GM, for instance, or by editing a shared document or passing around a piece of paper. Describe what excites you about the setting so that the other players, including the GM, can highlight those aspects. Describe what elements of the genre you don't want to include, for whatever reason. Doesn't have to be a sensitive or triggering topic for you to list as an unwanted element. Maybe you're just simply bored of dragons and you want to tell a story focused on other elements. Maybe you don't want laser swords because they're a bit hard to tilt up the chin of an opponent with a blade of pure... It's a bit hard to tilt up the chin of an opponent with a blade of pure energy. Yeah, you just sort of slash their face. You can use the palette to keep track of elements that players wish to exclude for reasons of safety, sometimes called lines or veils. Lines is a content that is exclusively or excluded entirely, and veils is we do that off screen. Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good one. I've used it as well. I hope I don't upset anyone, but does anyone else have a problem with the term murder hobo? Because I think it should be removed from people's vernacular. I find it offensive and hate it when people use it. It seems hateful of homeless people. Yeah, I take the point. I think there are people who certainly could find it offensive. Speaking as someone who is not, it's an interesting point. Exactly. Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. Well raised, Dak. Yeah. Killers for the same thing. Yeah. I think just murderers. Itinerant murderers. Brainstorm, chat. What would we replace it with? Murderers of no fixed address. Because I take the point, and hobo it's not a particularly nice word. There's no reason to call them that, and I cannot think of a reason that isn't derived from cruelty. Shit gamers. Dead set, Dak. That's actually, yeah. Yeah. Transient killers and mobile murderers. Mobile murderers! Quite like that. Transient killers, also good. The problem with transient killers is it sounds like people who kill transients. Locusts? Ooh! Alright, that is good. I like that. Consume everything, don't give anything back, fly on. Yes, Laurite, I think that's what I'd call them. Replace murder hobo in your lexicon with locust. Yes. That's very good, Laurite. I like that. Yeah. Yes, I had a party of locusts once. Guy called me out in a vid once in his early days, and it really pissed me off. Yeah, nice, Laurite. I agree. The check-in card. A lightweight and flexible safety practice to simply check in one another, and a visual aid such as a check mark drawn with an index card on an index card can help remind the players to do this. If you notice that another player seems uncomfortable or that the subject matter may be straying close to a sensitive topic, or if it has simply been a long time since the group took a break, you can always check in. Again, agree completely. What you don't see before we go live for our live play streams, we always do a "How is everybody?" We do a vibe check. And you can ! Vibe check in chat, although it actually it's a random number generator. Yeah, we do vibe checks before we go live. Mainly so that people know if someone's not having a great day, if someone's not having the best time, that other people can be gentle with them. You roll a nat 20, Kate. I hope you are having a nat 20 day as well. No stream elements. Inaccurate. Oh no. How is your actual vibe, Kate? Do you need anything? Are you okay? Can we send the love to Kate? Is there need for love sent to Kate? Hugs and so forth. But yeah, I also make a point of taking breaks regularly is a very good idea. But yeah, having an actual... We have my streams, it's the just do that and we'll stop immediately. Out of 20, a 12, a 60%. It's been a day, but being home is better. I'm glad to hear it. Okay. So not too bad. Yeah. Mental health day tomorrow. Nice. Yes. I've been mental healthing all this weekend, and it was wonderful. I had a lovely weekend with one sort of glaring exception. The X card is similar to Lines and Veils, but it's a shorthand used to, in the moment, keep a reminder of that. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. If the scope of the boundary is unclear... I'm okay with having anti-trans bigotry depicted as long as the bigotry is clearly a villain and as long as they're not allowed to win. Yeah. Sure. Yep, great. Core rules. Right. Now we learn. Relies on a few basic concepts and terms described in this section. Making a move. When a certain situations arise in the story, you pause the conversation to roll dice. This is called making a move. Each move has a different trigger condition. Each player character has access to the same basic moves, plus a few moves and features that are specific to the playbook they choose. Whatever you roll 2d6 dice and add them up for a number between 2 and 12. Then add a stat like daring or grace. This is denoted as roll plus daring or roll plus grace. If your daring stat is 1, for example, roll plus daring means rolling 2d6, add them up and add 1. Upbeat. When you score 10 plus, the PC generally achieves what they set out to do in a particularly effective way without serious complications. Alternatively, they may discover a useful or positive fact or opportunity. Mixed beat. On a 7 to 9, the player generally can achieve their aim, but at a cost or with a complication. They could also discover a risky opportunity. Downbeat. On a 6 or less, the GM narrates something that complicates the characters' lives. This is referred to as the GM making a GM move. GM moves are described as GMing the game. A 6 or less doesn't necessarily mean that the character failed at the task they set out to achieve. It might mean that it wasn't the best idea for an unseen reason, or an unexpected complication arises. Downbeats are often just as fun as upbeats, sometimes even more so. Page 94 includes guidelines for narrating the results of downbeats depending on the tone and pacing of the game. On a downbeat, a player character also must experience. Go ahead and roll those low stats. You'll probably learn something along the way. Ooh, okay. Oh wow, okay. It's the look for the helpers type of time. Lots of bad going on, but noticing the folks who are working actively to offset it helps. Yeah. I started doing vibe checks before games as well, especially for my Grim Hollow games, because it's a grey moral campaign. Example, we have a Dragonborn Spore Druid Cannibal and an Elf Assassin. Wow, okay. You can use bigotry or other unpleasant things in the game without going into minutia. Exactly, Dak, yeah, absolutely. People picking up the virtual swords, yes. So, you have stats. Stats broadly describe the character's talents and determine which approaches two problems they are more likely to result in upbeats. Most moves that involve a roll to add one of the following stats: daring, grace, heart, will, and spirit. Skill at arms, forcefulness, both in terms of muscle and personality. Elegance, poise, and agility. Emotional awareness and expression. Cleverness and knowledge. Metaphysical power and integrity. Need to grab some food. Be right back. No worries, Lawrite. Take care. How was your game, Lawrite? Well, tell me when you came back. If it's set up before, sure. If it's not agreed to before, it can still be problematic depending on the type of folks at your table. Yeah. I like that they have a heart stat. Yeah. Heart, emotional awareness, and expression. This is one of them. It's quite an interesting one as well, because a lot you'll find are basically, you could substitute D&D terms. You could say strength, dex, will, con. You could say strength, dex, con, wisdom, intelligence, and charisma. And just rename them, and that's what they're using. They've combined a lot of it into daring and grace, and then they've got, so there is 2 physical stats and 3 mental stats. But it's more than that, because I would say they've almost done away with the concept of physical and mental. They've sort of blended them together. Daring being both, you're being both psychologically bold and also physically bold and strong. In relation to Dragon Gear's setting up before, one of the most important things I learned, and I picked this up from AJ Winters, actually. It was AJ who first who raised it to my attention as, this is a good idea, and I agree. Expectations. Establish your expectations with your players before you start. You don't have to tell them exactly what it's going to be about or how it's going to play out, but they should know. And also get an opportunity at some point to say, hang on, can we not have the story go in that way? I have recently come to a DM who runs, the DM who runs There Be Dragons, and said, hey, you know how I'm playing a half-elf? He said, yeah. And I said, well, the ongoing abuse that he cops everywhere he goes, because there's currently a war between the elves and the humans. So he can't go to either place and not be reviled, even though he's not from either place. He's from a different place that neither of them are at war with. And yeah, I just got sick of it really fast. Just copying the, oh, you're a half-elf, gross, again and again and again. And he's stopped, which is really nice. It's still a narrative element, and it's still something that I have to narratively try and avoid as much as possible. He disguises that he is. Fortunately, he's quite tanky, so and he has a beard, so he can present as human relatively easily, as long as he's wearing a cloak. But he still presents as an Illic as well, which is arguably worse because they're known to be pirates and raiders. So, like, everything about who and what he is, given where we are, is offensive to most of the people where we are, which is irritating because I didn't know that when I created the character. I didn't know that I would be playing somebody who was almost universally hated wherever they went, just for who they are, rather than what they are. Or what they do. And yeah, I said to him, hey, look, this is really starting to suck. I'm not enjoying being the victim everywhere I go for an accident of birth that I couldn't have predicted because I didn't know anything about your world. And he has backed off on it. And I said also, it's getting boring. Probably for the audience as well as for me. So yeah, honesty and communication will get you a long way. But yeah, setting it up in the first place is a very good idea. Yeah. Those expectations are really important, especially in terms of elements of social interaction as well as thematics. Yeah, agreed completely, Kate. Yeah, this one's the demon that we came up with a couple of weeks ago, yeah. Some game effects grant a +1 forward to a character. This means that the character adds 1 to their next roll. Similarly, +1 ongoing grants a +1 bonus to all applicable rolls as long as the effect lasts, which is very cool. Conditions. There are 5 conditions. Angry. You might seethe or lash out. Are you angry at yourself or someone else? Hang on, let's read about the conditions, because this is an interesting mechanic I'm not familiar with. Physical and emotional challenges faced by player characters can take an emotional toll on them in the form of conditions. Conditions are difficult emotional states that have both narrative and mechanical effects. When a character has a condition, they take a penalty on an associated basic move. In addition to their mechanical effects, conditions indicate that the specified emotion is particularly powerful, or that the affected character and remind the players to explore and express what it means for them. If you ever have to mark a 6th condition, you are defeated. It means that you're taken out of the action of the game. You might faint, rant uselessly in incoherent rage, curl up into a ball, or get knocked out. Whatever the details, you can't act until the following scene, and you still have all 5 conditions marked at the start of that scene. Wow. So, angry. You might seethe or lash out. Are you angry at yourself or someone else? -2 to figure out a person. Frightened. You might freeze or flee or fawn over the source of your fear. You might be unable to sleep or concentrate because of your worry. Are you frightened of something that's happening or something that might happen? That's a -2 to fight. Guilty. You might ruminate on your guilt or seek reassurance. Are you guilty about something, or did you did or something you feel? -2 to emotional support. Hopeless. You might give up on a goal or invest or interest or despair aloud. Do you feel as if you are facing impossible obstacles, or simply that you are inadequate to the risk or challenge? -2 to defy disaster. My games focus on evil. You may know the evil folks are doing bad things that have to be stopped, but I don't want to have to go into what they are, except in a general way. I would say something like the village has been devastated, and leave it to the players to imagine what that may mean. I wouldn't describe things in that detail. It'll be problematic depending on the time. But, Dak, at the same time, do you, before you start, go through a list of things that you can avoid? Because that's fine as long as you know what these people will find, or even if you don't, respect when somebody says, hey, I'm just having the conversation about contents prior to players joining the game so that they know what they're joining. Wasn't about saying don't do content. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. I think both are good points. Yeah, likewise, Dak. I don't like giving the game away, but at the same time, yeah, knowing what not to do with players beforehand, and then remembering not to do it, because I have been pulled up on it, and it was a miscommunication on my part. I was asked pretty reasonably, don't have abuse towards children, or like, abuse of children and infants particularly in the game, and I went and did it. But I didn't. In my head, I just hadn't described the enemies particularly well. They looked from the way I described them, the players thought they were attacking babies. They weren't, but I hadn't described them particularly well. So we went to a break, and only then it occurred to me, and I was like, I'm also old school and have been doing it since the 90s. I'm old school, so we didn't really do it in the past, but I would do it today. Because I never put that sort of thing in my game. Okay. Yeah, I suppose the trick is, Dak, whilst everybody, there will always be someone who you find who, for very sensible and reasonable reasons for them, has a line or a veil that you wouldn't necessarily think of as a line or veil. Hello, we are talking about lines and veils. Hi, Ellie B. How are you? Good to see you, my dear. Yes. So I love that this discussion is being had, and I love that the game encourages that. Hopeless. You might give up on a goal or interest. I think we've done that one. Yeah. Defy disaster. Insecure. You might read far too much into an interaction, or you might confront an object of jealousy. You might cling to connection or fish for compliments. Are you insecure because you don't think you deserve connection, or because you're jealous of the connections others seem to have? -2 to entice. That one came a little close to home for me. Clearing conditions. Several moves allow you to clear a condition. This allows you to unmark the condition and end its effect. For example, if you offer someone emotional support, they may choose to clear a condition. My advice here would be to check so that you know where the boundaries are. I'm pretty public about a phobia, and it may never come up, but it's better for players who might be able to identify that they do or don't want to be at a table from a thematic standpoint. This might come up, but won't. This won't, etc. Yeah. I found a couple of lines that I didn't realize I had at the table. And yeah, in one instance I had a DM who was extremely cool with it. And in another I had a DM who wasn't, and I don't work with that person anymore. Yeah, I didn't realize I needed it to be a veil at the very least. Which is why I felt particularly bad about the harm to children thing, because it was that. I'd had it my own self and gone like, I'll never do that. Because I wouldn't. Because I find it deeply upsetting even imagining. And yeah, I had described poorly. Yeah, I fortunately I was not actually playing, I was teching. But it was still like, it was actually worse because the tech can't stop. Well, they can, but it's harder. And there was no built-in safety net. And it was a very dark campaign. So yeah, it was troublesome. It was problematic. And thank you for your sympathy. But I honestly didn't even realize it was going to be a thing until it got there. I was like, oh wow, I hate this. I hate this a lot. But I found several lines along that whilst teching that campaign. I was like, oh wow. But that one I was like, well, I'm not surprised about other ones. A few of them are like, that's just horrible, and I don't want to have to listen to it. It was a horror campaign. Didn't realize quite how it went dark that season as well. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. The thanks, I hate it moments are not fun when surprised. Yeah. This happens immediately when they pick the action option. Providing emotional support doesn't just lead to rewarding roleplay moments, it's also an important way to recover after a confrontation. Conspicuously roleplaying a character's conditions can be a good reminder to other players that your character could use some support. You can also ask simply ask or suggest a supportive scene. Good thought, Stack. Yeah. I never saw it as a thing in the past because I played with friends and knew them pretty well. Yeah. But nowadays on Roll20, I would ask your advice and I would take your advice and Dragon Gears and ask in a session 0 about boundaries, etc. Can I ask if we have an emotional support unicorn? Not an official one, LEB. You looking for a job? I think in this game we almost should. I think that would be great in Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Yeah. That was a volunteer's tribute. Excellent. A lot of you do the job great. felt extremely emotionally supported unicorn this weekend. Simply ask or suggest a supportive scene. NPCs may be so distressed that they have conditions of their own, which you can clear using moves like emotional support, just as you would for a PC. Or if an NPC has a condition and a mechanic gives them an opportunity to clear it, they will generally choose that option. For each condition, there is also a destructive action that a PC can take to clear the condition. If a character doesn't get emotional support, they're more likely to act out in a toxic and harmful way. They need to clear a condition can also provide the impetus to create more messy, fun drama for the player characters. NPCs do not clear conditions via destructive actions. Destructive actions for each condition are angry, break something important to you or to someone you care about, frightened, run away and leave something important behind, guilty, sacrifice something important just to hurt yourself for what you've done, hopeless, lose yourself in escapism or pleasure when you should be doing something important, and insecure, take rash action to confront the object of your jealousy or prove your worth without conferring with friends or making a plan first. Very cool. Inflicting conditions and defeating NPCs. If you can inflict conditions on both NPCs and player characters. A player in charge of the affected character should choose a condition they haven't marked yet, guided by the narrative situation. Hey, X-Cat Darkness! Meow! Phases into being. Good to see you, X-Cat. How are you, my dear? I'm looking at Thirsty Sword Lesbians. As in the game. The GM decides how many conditions on a particular NPC can take depending on how formidable the NPC is. Some foes are so readily overcome by the player character's prowess that they crumble without a roll of the dice. Some more capable individuals are defeated upon taking one or more conditions. Some opponents may be defeated as soon as they suffer a single condition, whilst more formidable adversaries can only be defeated when they suffer 5 conditions. Beware! When a powerful adversary suffers a condition, they are likely to lash out. Some adversaries automatically respond to taking a condition, for instance, by calling for backup, conjuring a ring of rage-fueled fire to cut off escape, or starting the countdown for their ultimate weapon. More information about narrating such things can be found in Formidable NPC's trigger moves upon taking condition on 89. If you want to condition a PC, Modify Memory is a good option. It is. Modify Memory has been used and misused, and is actually a very dangerous thing to play with. And I've seen it used very badly. But if you stick to the rules, then it's fine. If you stick to the wording of the spell, it's fine. But yes, agreed. I normally only have 2 limits in the games I run or play: no sexual violence and no graphic details when it comes to fiery damage. But obviously, I always respect my fellow players' limits and boundaries. Every time you say NPC, I keep hearing NVC. Yeah, I know, right? Defeating NPC. Being defeated partially deprives the character of their agency, at least for the rest of the scene. For NPCs, the person who took them out gets to propose how this happens, in keeping with the fiction that led to the defeat. The BBNPC. Bear in mind that inflicting conditions is emotionally violent, and sometimes physically violent. Defeating somebody this way is usually not going to get them to seek common ground with you or grow as a person, and it leaves them distraught at best. That said, some things are worth fighting for, and conflict is often necessary before oppression and toxic behavior can be halted. Besides, even friends can hurt each other's feelings, and no one is perfect, particularly not the complex, conflicted PCs in Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Strings represent emotional influence over another person. This could be the affection of a friend or lover, or it could be a blackmail material. Think heartstrings. When you gain a string on someone, make a note of it on your playbook. You might also find it helpful to use colored tokens for different types of coins to denote strings. For instance, the Beast player chooses red tokens, and then when you gain a string on them, there is a red token, and keep it where others can see it. At the end of each session, record the strings by writing them down, or taking a photo of the tokens. Thank you very much, XCat. It was inspired by you, my dear. Yeah. I'm very pleased with how she's turned out. She looks excellent. I haven't got a name for her yet. She is a Age of Sigmar Knight Incantor. Basically a spellcaster. But I haven't decided on a name yet. The basic move, Influence with a String, describes how you spend strings to influence others for good or ill, and several of the basic moves and playbook moves become stronger if you spend a string, as noted in the descriptions of those moves. Influence comes in the form of tempting them or to your desired course of action, helping or hindering their roles, or gaining insight about them. You cannot dictate another character's actions or feelings with strings. Also missed it because I had been clicking on unread in my inbox and not my mentions. Never mind. No. Do not stress. I saw, and for those of you in our Discord, ! Discord, you can see the artwork of XCat Darkness in our arts, in our creative art section. The most recent one, the Paradox Paradigm, is freaking dope. Very, very cool. Is this for your game as well, XCat? Is this for your world? Because it's sick. It's very, very cool. Yeah, love it. Special rules for GM strings. How does one get a string? This could be the affection of a friend or lover. It could be blackmail material. Ooh. In string on someone, make a note of it. How do you get one, though? I'll probably incorporate it into my world. I tend to make the art and then the lore. Ah. Ooh. Ooh. Cool. Love it. Thinking this space might be the place you interact with the intermediaries. Cool. Freaking love it. You spend a string. Influence comes in the form of tempting them to your desired course of action, helping or hindering their roles, or gaining insight about them. You cannot dictate another character's actions with strings. If you gain a fourth string on someone, you have profound insight and learn something about them that even they don't know. The player tells you what you learn, probably asking the GM for ideas. If it's up to you whether or not you share the insight with the character or not. In addition, clear all but one of your strings on them and gain 2 experience. Some scenarios may assign additional effects to a string advance. Some players spend strings frequency to help hinder or influence others' hoard strings and to trigger string advances. Neither approach is wrong. Okay. Experience an advancement. Advances. Take another move from your playbook. Take another move. When you fill out your XP track, you can gain an advance from the list. Consider a dramatic costume change for your character whenever they advance. Your first 5 advances must be from the top 6 on the list. After you take your 5th advance, you can choose to switch to another playbook or live happily ever after. Choose one of these last 2 options when live happily ever after. So you can retire. I'm thinking those are the eldritch beings that can act in the world on behalf of the gods who can't touch the world directly. Yeah, that's very cool, XCat. I like that. Neat. Add +1 to a stack. You can do that twice. You can add move from the playbook twice, and you can add another move from the playbook twice as well. And then you could switch to a new playbook. You can multi-class, or you can live happily ever after, which presumably is retiring. Live happily ever after. When you choose to live happily ever after as an advance, the character is retired from play. They can continue to appear as an NPC, but their story and their feelings are no longer central to the narrative. Instead, narrate an epilogue for them and describe what they've resolved, how they've resolved their emotional conflict, and what their ever after is like. That is so cool. I love it. The core engine for this game, is it a D20 system? It is 2d6 XCat. You have stats. You add, it'll be like a bonus +1 or whatever. You roll 2d6. A 7 to 9 is generally considered a success. 6 or under is a not so great, and a 10 or more is that works super good. There are specific terms for it, but that's what I took away from it. They are called. It is an upbeat, a mixed beat, and a downbeat. And you have 5 stats: daring, grace, heart, will, wit, and spirit. The artwork is fabulous in this as well. Experience and advancement. Players receive experience whenever they roll a 6 or below, or when a move tells them to mark experience. Some moves instruct player character to mark experience whenever a trigger condition is met. Player character can only gain experience the first time in each scene that they fulfill the trigger condition, not every time. Player can spend 5 XP to take an advance. If you're playing a single session rather than an ongoing game, you can earn an advance every 3 XP instead of every 5. A number of mechanics use XP to tempt or press the player characters to do something suboptimal or to reduce the sting of a downbeat. These mechanics will lose their teeth in a one-shot game if XP were ignored or too many XP were required to achieve an advance. Okay. You have several options for your advance listed at the end of each playbook and in the following section. One option is to take a move from another playbook. However, you can only choose moves listed in the playbook moves section of each playbook. Other playbook features such as a Nature Witch's Trials or a Devoted's Devotion are exclusive to that playbook. Similarly, if a playbook move relies on a playbook feature and doesn't make sense for a character without that feature, you may not take it. For instance, the Beast's Transform lasts until the character's feral drops below 4. Without a feral track, the move would break, so player characters of other playbooks cannot take that move. Fair. So you can take a move from any playbook twice, you can take a move from your playbook twice, add +1 to a stat, you can do that twice, then you can switch to a new playbook, or live happily ever after with your XP. Posted a pic of a very displeased cat, if you want to see. Yes. I always want to see displeased cats. Oh my goodness, they're so pretty! I love it! Is that the one you're sending to Terrace? Laurite? Because that's adorable. If you want to check the pet photos in the Discord, oh, we've got Dak. Hey, Dak, you've joined. Let me verify you, my friend. There you go. Bam. You are now in the Discord, mate. And now you can see the adorable picture of Python. I think I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. Adana's kitty cat. Wearing a kimono. Adorable. So it is... verified you are. So it's a mixed successes thing. Kind of wish D&D used the idea of mixed successes more directly. Yeah. I do a little bit. Like, if you... Kimono Kitty. Yeah, very good. If you roll just enough, I'll just give you some of the data. That you roll higher, I'll give you more information. That sort of thing. Who said I was gone? He's still around. But no, I take the point, XCat. I also like variations of failure as well. Ahoy. Ooh. Oops. Look what accidentally happened. Effins. There we go. Now you can see the kitty cat. You may have been able to see it before. Careful love. That's a lovely one. Careful for love. Care of you for love. It's good. Love it. Very pretty. Alright. What happens when you switch playbooks? Switching playbooks signifies that your character has grown past the emotional conflict that defined them and is grappling with something new. Maybe the trickster is no longer too terrified to tell others that what she's feeling, but instead flees when the feelings get too intense and becomes a scoundrel. The one shot I'm planning to run that I keep procrastinating from actually running, I'm thinking of having a rule that lets players who roll a crit do max damage if they describe how they deal the damage. Yeah? I mean, XCat, yes, it's a good idea. I actually insist upon it. The way I do crits, I let them have, they get the max of what the dice would be, plus what they actually roll. So rather than rolling 2d6, you crit with a short sword. Normally that would be a d6 with a crit, 2d6. You get an automatic 6 points of damage plus what you would roll on your d6. So we don't roll the damage twice. You just auto max the first time you would roll, and then you get to roll anyway, because otherwise you can roll shit. So your crits are capitalized. Yes. Hey, Lost Archives. Ooh, big raid. Thank you very much for the raid, Owen, you bloody champion. I suggested crits like that in the guild idea, and yeah, they're really good. It's a good way to raid. It's a good way to crit. Hey, raiders. How are you? It's a raid. Thank you very much, Kate. You got there first. My favorite raid emotes up in chat, guys. How are ye? How was your game, guys? Was it Avatar tonight? I think it was. I think this was an Avatar evening. The Lost Archives are playing a game in the Avatar RPG system, which is Avatar as in The Last Airbender, not Avatar, the blue people on a different planet. It was a bit slime and swampy. Ew, lovely. Love you too. It is your job, but it's not exclusively your job. I appreciate it though, Kate. I appreciate Kate. Hearts in chat for Kate. Classic Avatar Swamp Session. Classic Avatar Swamp Session. It's splendid. I am glad you had a good time. Made fun of swamp benders for a while. No compliments, no! Good. I am glad. Sounds like you had fun. Well, what we are doing, lovely raiders, we are having a look at the game Thirsty Sword Lesbians, which is a provocative title at best. So yeah, it's pretty neat thus far. It features a couple of things I haven't really played around with or seen before. Introduce some ruins beneath the banyan tree. Ooh, good set. I'm glad to hear it. Excellent. So the game system is relatively simple so far. Mostly what we've looked at so far is being safe whilst playing the game, which is a very good idea because the game is based around sharing feelings and emotions and dealing with stuff. So it's a very sensible idea to be as safe as you can while you're doing it. Now we're looking at advancement. It's got a feature I really enjoy, Owen. After you leveled up 5 times, you can just choose straight up to multi-class, or you can live happily ever after. You just stop, that character stops playing. Isn't that lovely? They're just like, I retire, I've achieved my goals. The basic moves of the game. All the rolls are based on a 2d6 system, then you add whatever modifiers you may have to add to it. A 6 or less is a downbeat. A 7 to 9, I'm trying to remember what the actual term is. I think it's just called a beat. No, there's a definitely it's a downbeat and upbeat and just a normal one. What is it called? A mixed beat. That's it. 7 to 9 mixed beat. Some good, some bad, and 10 or more is an upbeat. As I recall, the Avatar system is a D6 system as well, isn't it? What's all this then? Hey, Jack, you old square peg. How are you in your round hole? What are you doing, mate? How's it going? Yeah, I'm checking out. I'm doing a little bit of a Thirsty Sword Lesbians look at. Basic moves in this game. Reading the moves. So each move has a name, a trigger, and a description of what happens depending on what you roll. Remembering that the downbeat is 6 or less, a mixed beat is 7 to 9, and an upbeat is 10 or more. I could have just found it here. Each move description is followed by additional notes and clarifications not found in basic moves reference. The moves are written with the convention that you always refers to the person making the move and they refers to the person else, someone else, a person affected by the move. If a move tells you to choose a number of options from a list, you can't choose the same option twice unless instructed otherwise. Jack, how was your stream, mate? How did you go? Did you and Ardana manage to make any progress from what I watched last week? Where... you know, you were really struggling with some goblins and some trolls, as I recall. Or some ogres. There might have been ogres. 2 streams and a session 0 plus work. Feeling amazing and tired. Fucked up them gobbos. Good to hear. Good to hear. I think my favorite thing we've come across this session, Absalom Dak raised an excellent point that the term motor hobo is actually not very nice. Not something I'd ever considered before, but I pay it. So Ardana proposed, instead we call them locusts. I think it's a really good idea. Ardana is a lovely guide through Baldur's Gate 3 trivia. Amazing yet tired is still good. Yeah, it is. So yes, I intend now to spread the what's it called? The gospel. The gospel of the term locust, because I think it's a really good replacement. Things that travel around and consume and don't add anything to a situation and just eat and eat and eat and then bugger off. Yeah. Generally hostile, don't like it. Itinerant killers. The kind of tired when you feel good about going to bed. Yeah, spread the gospel of the locust. Interesting. Maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it, Kate. Sounds like a Gears of War thing. Alright, danger moves. Fight. When you seek to incapacitate someone with violence, roll plus daring or plus grace. Choose 3 and your opponent chooses 1 to apply to you in response. Ooh. Choose 2 and your opponent chooses 1 if you get the 7 to 9. Flirt with or provoke your opponent and gain a string on them. Okay, this is how you gain strings. Right. That makes sense. If the intent is pejorative, what's the difference, if you don't mind me asking? I think the trick is I think people could find the word hobo. A negative, someone being homeless. So removing the punching down. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Thank you. Yes. 7 of 9. I think just 7 to 9. 7 to 9. Actually, it's 721. Flirt with someone or provoke your opponent to gain a sting on them, which is cool. Through violence or cutting words, inflict a condition. Create an opportunity for an ally through prowess or distraction. Take an object from your opponent or seize a superior position. I've been finding yawns for the last hour. You may not pick the same option more than once in a single fight move. For instance, you can't take 3 strings from a roll of 10 plus. Yeah, fair. Fighting always has a cost. Even when you roll a 10 plus, it takes a toll on you because your opponent always gets to choose an option from the list as well. You're all capable and skilled, but you're likely to need some emotional support after a violent encounter. Good name for a cult of apathy. We punch upwards. King of locusts. Good name for a cult of apathy if your BBEG gets positivity. Hornets. Buzz, buzz, motherfucker. Yep, cool. Fight. Makes sense. Easy. Sometimes fighting is necessary. If your opponent is irredeemable, check out the art as well. There is such variety in it, too. It's very cool. I really love the artwork. Yeah. Remember, just because you're crossing swords with someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're rolling fight move. If your intent is to figure them out, roll that move instead. You might entice them or defy disaster on behalf of somebody else. Roll this move when you're trading blows and seeking to degrade the opponent's ability to fight. If you take something from the opponent, don't get too philosophical or abstract. You have to be justified in the fiction. You might cut through their belt, or snatch the rod of power, or even seize the high ground. It's over, Anakin! So great, little short Obi-Wan standing over him. It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Anakin pulls out a gun. A+ art. Art, right or wrong, is what makes the difference for me. Helps my imagination get firing. Yes, yes. Hey, Chaotic Goblin. Feeble thumbs up. Hey, buddy. How are you, Chaotic Goblin? Good to see you, mate. Long time. Is it that long? Probably not. It's been a while. It's been a time for me. Thursday to now has been a while. Longer than it necessarily actually was in the real life meat space. If you take something from an opponent, don't get too philosophical. Yep. You should be trying to take their will to fight, their lungs, or their planet. Look for things that are more in line with the scale of other options. In addition, you may not take a player character's sword without the player's consent, except through a GM move or if the player character is defeated. Being deprived of your sword doesn't have a mechanical effect, but people are emotionally attached to them. Fair. Ellie B says, I fell in love with the artwork for a Kickstarter campaign TTRPG thing recently, and I am so impatient. I just want it now. The first time that ever happened to me, Ellie B. This thing I fell in love with. The artwork is so pretty. There's 3 very different styles in the one book, which is very cool. First time, but not the last. Oh yeah, absolutely not. No. I had that thing. Fight comes into play. The artist of that owl is how I know about that book, and I wasn't allowed to back it, but I love it greatly. The owl is named, because the owl has a name. That is, Riffin the Ash Knight, and that's my voice of him. But yeah, that's Riffin, and above him is Oddwald Ebbenhart, who never made an appearance in my game. Despite being one of the main characters in the campaign, because I replaced him with Nevermore's dad. Nevermore's dad was Lazarus, and I replaced Oddwald Ebbenhart with him, and slotted him into the narrative. It worked really well. Always judge a book by its cover. This is how I discovered Mike Moorcock. That's a very funny name. I presume the name is supposed to be funny, because it's a great name. Fight comes into play when the player character seeks to incapacitate someone, but many of the options provide narrative pathways to resolving the conflict in different ways. Strings suggest emotional vulnerability, allies get new opportunities, and you can take things from your opponent or change the circumstances of the conflict. This, along with the many other options available to player characters, means that it's rare to simply slug it out with an opponent by repeatedly choosing to fight them. If 2 player characters seek to fight, First, make sure that incapacitating each other is the intent. It's quite possible that someone is actually seeking to figure out or entice someone instead. If not their opponent, then potentially an onlooker, and make sure it's not a proxy for an out-of-character dispute that's better resolved with a conversation between the players. Yes. If two player characters really wish to fight, both characters roll the move and then take turns resolving each option selected, role-playing out what looks like in the fiction. If one or both of the player characters are defeated during the resolution, they still get to resolve the other effects of their move before they're incapacitated. So if your opponent inflicts a condition as their first choice and defeats you, you still get to make all of your choices, like strings, inflict conditions, etc. To be clear, this game doesn't focus on player characters doing violence to one another, and it's generally going to cause the player characters a heap of trouble. But sometimes, feelings run hot and player characters do foolish things. If you want to focus on duels between player characters, check out the expanded fight moves optional rule on page 189. I like that. The cover is there to be judged. Well, quite, XCat, yes. Oh, do you reckon it's pronounced like Coburn? So it's Morco. Gonna go veg to some Breaking Bad. Have fun, lovely humans. Josh, I'm thinking of you and Karen. I know it must be tough right now, but I'm proud of you keeping at things. Good night. Thanks, Jack. Thanks, buddy. No, it's his real name. He wrote Elric, Corum, Hawkmoon, and the Eternal Champion. That's what D&D is heavily based on. Law versus Chaos. He has also performed with Hawkwind as well. Wow. Lunch has been had, and I am now full. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Alright. Example 5. This is helpful. Hannah the Scoundrel and Lucia the Chosen have rescued the rebel leader from the evil space empire when Death Baron steps between them and their starship, trying to find another way out. No, this is our best chance of taking down the Death Baron before he sends another planet to the Nightmare Zone. I ignite my laser sword in the name of the free people of the 5 stars. Surrender or face justice! I accept your foolhardy challenge, little girl. He conjures a blade of crackling black lightning and advances upon you at an unhurried pace. I've got a bad feeling about this. I get out my trusty whip sword. Cool. That is called an Urumi. The whip sword. R-U-M-I. If you want to check out some cool videos, type Urumi into YouTube. You will find some cool and fucking terrifying shit. They are a... don't believe exclusively, but the people of the Indian subcontinent have some very cool... Urumi fighting styles and history with that weapon. Very, very cool. It's... the sound it makes is freaking terrifying. I'll be like, no, 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 no. You only say that because I'm acting against my destiny, and I'll pay for that later, but it'll be worth it. I leap high into the air and bring my laser sword down on him. I rolled a 7. Good enough. I get 2 choices, so I definitely want to inflict a condition, and I think for the second choice, I'm going to distract him so that the path to escape is clear for Hannah and the rebel leader. Yeah, that works. For the condition, I think you've made him angry. In terms of distracting him, yeah, that could be either creating an opportunity or taking his positioning from him. So sure, you do it. He is completely focused on you, but you feel like it's not just because you're pissing him off. He gets to choose one option for you from your fight moves too. He's actually going to take a string on you. It's not a sexy thing. Instead, what happens is you've locked swords, and in the flickering light from the sparks, you see yourself reflected in his visor, and it feels like he's gazing right into your soul and has seen some secret truth there. And now he's going to lash out because you made him angry. Can I just mention that the rebel leader and I are out of there? Thanks for the distraction, sweetheart. Cool. In the name of the moon! I can't recommend his sword and sorcery books enough. Go read some awesome fantasy. The 6 books of Corum are so D&D, they are the basis for much of the game. Yeah, right. Cool. Good to know. I show you one I found. Pick him off. Want that there. Dangerous Journeys. Gary Gygax's Dangerous Journeys. The Anubis Murders. Found it in a second-hand bookshop. I'm like, hell yeah. But I think I paid $4 as well. It's upsetting. The miniature roleplay game system, Dangerous Journeys. This is a... When was this? When was it published? 1992. Defy disaster. When you push your limits to achieve something extraordinary that's not covered by another move, or to avert an imminent danger to yourself or someone else, you can say that you're willing to sacrifice and pick your approach. So you can use any. Do it with style. At the GM's discretion, you may learn new information, discover new opportunity, or gain a string on someone. The GM will offer you a hard choice or success with a sacrifice on a 7 to 9. Wow! So defying disaster is quite a hard thing to do. Just a guess, but does that book talk about how Anubis became the god looking out for the corpses of dead gods? I have no idea. I'm going to have to do some videos about him. There is some great literature that gamers would love, but they don't seem to know about it. Thing is, bookshops aren't big enough. They don't stock old stuff. It's why I love secondhand bookshops. One book series I highly recommend for any fantasy adventure writer is The Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zinsley. Chronicles of... Alright, hang on. Chronicles of Amber. Chronicles of Amber. There's a bit of my brain going, yeah, because you don't have enough books already to read, Josh. By Roger Zelazny? My favorite Perth bookseller, Josh. When a book is older than some of the audience... Well, exactly. I was about to suggest a day out to a particular place, and then I realized probably can't go there. I have one for you that you can absolutely go to because they've done the intentionally accessible thing. Ooh! This is definitely not the one I'm thinking of then, because my favorite one is... Look, Red, you might be able to get around inside, but a prob's not. It's... hell yeah. I'm down. Let's do that. Because I totally need more books. We're out of shelves. There is one on the corner of Royal and Main called Bella Books. And he's recently restocked because he had a store in Geraldton as well. And that I think that one closed. So he's combined all of his Geraldton ones into here. To Bella. But yeah. Trying to remember... The doorway may... It's at the ground level. The doorway may have a lip. But it's just very cramped. Not the same. We'll do the thing. Great. Love it. I want to go too. Well, you're not in the state anymore, LAB, are you? You've gone and left us for a job. Fair enough, though. Absolutely. Not a problem. When you're next back. Yeah. I'm down for that. Absolutely. I am as well having some work done soon in the house, and they're going to build me a huge bookcase. Yeah, that is more than anything else. My dream for my the first house I actually own will be just a room for all the books. One of my favorite quotes from the series is when the main character is asked about his relationship with his father. My father's affections were always the inverse proportion of my proximity. Ooh. Do it again in September. Love it. Yes. Done. My father was often away. But I never felt a lack of love. Excellent disciplinary tool, because he was missing half the time. Define disaster. Right. Cool. A lot of rules. Stagger. Reactive move. When you suffer a staggering physical or emotional blow, choose an option from the following based on the number of conditions you have marked. You're rendered helpless for the scene. You're utterly humiliated and news will spread. This could be a consequence of setback or in the confrontation, or might be caused by something you confess in the heat of the moment. You right, my lovely?
Yes.
Another one.
Yeah, she yawned in my face. It was unpleasant.
Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
Red and the others want to go to take Ellie to a second-hand bookshop that Kate knows in September. So that's happening.
Excellent.
Yes, she's finger steeple of evil contemplationing
I
in.
will save my pennies.
To be fair, the main character did try and have his father murdered more than once. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly.
Who hasn't?
Define disaster. It me! Hi! Tell Karen to look it up in the group chat.
I'm the problem, it's me. Also, remember how I bought you a unicorn ball the other day? There you go.
I didn't know you bought me a unicorn ball.
I did. We saw you unicorn balls in a shop, and I thought it was funny, so I bought you one. I didn't realize that you didn't realize I bought you one, so enjoy that fantasy testicle. Karen out!
I've been gifted a unicorn ball. Caramello candy. Oh, lovely. Delicious.
It is delicious.
Enjoy that fantasy testicle. Karen out. Has been quoted. Kate says, possibly my favourite Karen sentence ever. Is that the foal or the Falabella unicorn? It's not very big.
Yeah, it's a very small unicorn.
It's quite a small ball, so I think it's. I want to think it's not a foal's testicle, but a mini unicorn. You lash out at someone whose regard matters to you. Provoke them to do something foolish or harmful. Stagger. Okay. Right. Heartstring moves. Entice. When you appeal to someone's physical or emotional sensibilities, roll plus heart. Gain a string on them and choose one. Gain a string on them unless they decide instead to choose one. Ooh, okay. So on a 10 plus, you gain a string on them and they choose one. Either getting flustered and awkward, promise something they think you want, give in to desire. See what the art looks like as well here. Oh, wow. It's cool. Nice one. Or gain a string on them unless they decide to choose one. That's also cute. It has been clipped! Good. Entice. Someone is the most basic way to... Entice someone is the most basic way to get strings on them. You must also find someone else at the table suggesting that you... You might also find that someone else at the table suggesting that you roll to entice them because your player character has just done something very sexy or romantic, even without intending to. This move doesn't require that your character intend to turn the other person on. Oh, it's in the Discord for later. Good. If you try to entice somebody in a way that their player doesn't think would work, you have a few options for resolving that. The player could tell you an alternative approach that might fit their character better, and you can rewind. You could decide to abandon the move and take the story in another direction. You can explain the move's effects in a way that makes sense with the narrative. You gain a string on them because their reaction helps you understand them better. They get flustered and awkward because they're uncomfortable, or they promise you something to make the awkwardness stop. Cute. String theory. Vash the Infamous has leapt into the moving chariot driven by the Lady of Chains. I know she has a thing for me ever since I defected from her service, so I'm standing on her chariot, hair whipping in the wind, and I press close. Fighting isn't really what you want, is it? Nice! Give me an entice roll. Uh-oh, it's a 4. Amazing! Alright. First of all, mark experience for downbeat. So, you press close to her, you feel the cold metal of her chains against your skin, and then the heat of her breath against your lips. Oh no, I'm the one getting seduced, aren't I? Give her a string. Then you feel a metal collar clamp around your neck and the chain tugs you down to slam against the inside of the chariot. You've missed this, haven't you? She says. It's not exactly a question. This. that image. That's cool. Figure out a person. When you try to understand a person... I'm going to change the music. I've been listening to the same birds for a while now. Let's have something else. And also, I'm pretty sure it's samba music. Okay. Let's ditch the samba music and we'll have... Where is... I want... Not that. No, that's combat music. That's the wrong kind of techno. Where's my techno? There we go. There it is. There we are. Alright. Sirenscape has a great soundscape named Hell. There's a bathhouse track I think would fit. Kinky Thirsty Sword Lesbians. Absalom Duck, I assumed the kinky. 'Tis the techno! It is a bit Mass Effect, this one, yeah. Figure out a person. When you try to understand a person, roll wit. Roll plus wit. Plus 3 more if you spend a string on them. Ah, neat. You may ask 2 questions. Now or later in the scene, you may ask 2 questions, but they may ask one of you. Ooh, okay. I've led a sheltered life, obviously. Maybe you're just not a lesbian, Absalom Dak. I don't know. Not a doctor. I'm not going to speak for you. Rolling the +1 wit for the brain cell. The characters you encounter likely have hidden agendas, private desires, and intense angst. When you talk to or observe a person, you can invoke this move to learn more about their inner truth. Your character doesn't have to literally ask the questions from the list, and the other character doesn't necessarily speak the answers aloud. Rather, you can infer the answers from their body language, careful observation, or even metaphysical or technological sensing. Neat. If you're having trouble coming up with a rationale for how you learn the information, call it intuition. So, for example, what are your feelings towards... What do you hope to get from? How could I get you to? What do you love most? How would you feel if I... Things like that. Yes, yes. Ooh, that's so long. Influence with a string. At any time, spend a string on someone to do one of the following. Offer them an XP to do something. Don't spend the string if they refuse the temptation. Ooh. Find out what it will take to get them to do what you want. For an NPC, spreading a string means they simply agree. Cool. Add 1 to your roll against them after rolling. Hey, Terrace! 7 months. Woo. Indeed, sir. How are you, Terrace? Good to see you. Red, this is Terrace. This is my terrace. Red also has a terrace. Not exclusively my terrace. I'm not very protective, but I do love my terrace. Terrace is definitely somebody else I also want to be having in this when we play this. Terrace, I'm looking at Thirsty Sword Lesbians. No, you're allowed to be in the kitchen. I have never encountered another terrace. I believe it's spelt differently. Narratively, spinning a string represents one character wielding their emotional influence over another. They might be pressuring or tempting the other character to make a certain course of action represented by the mechanical temptation to take the XP bribe. They might be taking advantage of their insight or burning some goodwill to figure out what it will take to get somebody to do what they want. Their influence also lets them figure out just how to help pardon me, or hurt the other character. But only once per fortnight. Yes. I'll play Thirsty Sword Lesbians. That's what I thought. That is what I thought. Just casually looking at Thirsty Sword Lesbians on a Tuesday night. I mean, it's what I'd be doing if I wasn't streaming. What? Only player characters have XP and make rolls. When you influence NPCs, you may find out what it will take to get them to do what you want, or use strings to alter roles made to interact with them. There is no basic move that simply lets you convince an NPC of something. If you want to change an NPC's mind, either get emotional leverage or insight by getting a string on them, or figure out their priorities. When you use a string to ask what it would take for them to do something, you're cashing in some of your leverage with that NPC, so they are more receptive to doing what you want them than they were when you were simply figuring them out. Yes. I have a character for this. Thirsty Tuesday. It really has to be Thirsty Thursday. Hey, LEB. I just purchased Apotheosis today. I didn't realize that was a purchasable thing, unless Apotheosis is a thing. Her name is Bridget Defort. Ah, I see. I just need to make it Taco Sword Lesbians for today, then. I really enjoy what else a taco could be, and yes, absolutely. That's very good. Very good, LEB. Okay. Smitten. When you become smitten with somebody, always your choice, say why, give them a string on you, and answer the question in the Truths of the Heart and Blade section of your playbook. Ooh. Beast. What have you done that you are sure they view as inappropriate? How do our respective stations make it impossible to be together? Devoted. How does pursuing them conflict with your devotion? Infamous. Why do you think they would be wrong to forgive you? What is a clear challenge to being with them that you're overlooking because of your naivety? Scoundrel. Why would your romance never last? Seeker. Which of your values do they openly violate or decry? Spooky Witch. What obvious thing about you are you sure would make them reject you? And Trickster. What secret do you have that you think would make them reject you if they knew? Interesting. The purpose of the smitten move is twofold. First, you signal the rest of the table that this is something important that your character is feeling. Second, you describe one reason why that romance is fraught and interesting. The game master may introduce other obstacles as well. There is no hard and fast trigger for the smitten move beyond the player's choice. Some people fall in love for many different reasons. Give it some thought whether someone asks you makes you blush or swoon, or if they gather multiple strings relating to the way you feel about them. You are also free to declare that you are no longer smitten at any time. In a particularly action-packed scene, wait until the end of the scene to remove the smitten move to keep the action flowing. You can still declare that you are smitten in the middle of the action, but resolve it at the end of the scene. You may become smitten as early as character creation if you feel so moved. Ooh, obvious rejection versus secret rejection. I'm not sure which is worse. Yeah! What secret do you have that you think would make them reject you if they knew? What obvious thing about you are you sure would make them reject you? The obvious thing or the secret thing? The reason you answer the same question each time you're smitten is because each playbook revolves around a central emotional conflict, which keeps occurring and causing trouble in your life until you resolve it. However, this question doesn't speak to your character's conflict. Feel free to rewrite it into something that has more bite and creates the kind of drama and challenge you want for your character. Secret tunnel through the mountain. Finally kiss in a dangerous situation. Oh my god. When people finally kiss after a period of tension, it takes +1 ongoing. Each takes +1 ongoing to get to safety and protect the other for the rest of the scene. If more than 2 people finally kiss in these circumstances, they all get the bonus. Okay. Each participant must be enthusiastic about kissing to trigger this move. Can you be smitten with more than one person at once? Doesn't say you can't. Mass enthusiastic kissing sounds mildly terrifying, but also sweet. I'm sure you'd be able. Yeah, I'm sure. It doesn't say you can't. Emotional support. When you offer someone emotional support in a way that would be meaningful to them, roll +1 heart or roll plus heart or plus spirit. And you can add 3 more if you spend a string on them. On a +10, they open up to you. They choose one, and you either choose one or take a string on them. 7 to 9, they open up to you, they choose one. Okay. Clear a condition, mark XP, +1 forward. Ooh. Gain insight from the Game Master about an obstacle facing one of you. If they're smitten with you, they may choose an additional option. If you're smitten with them, they refuse to open up to you, it stings. You mark a condition. Oh! Honestly, this is the greatest to listen to from the other room. As I don't have chat, I only have Josh, so it's wild. I'm glad my voice is pleasing to you. Yes, I came back to write that. Yes. Emotional moments are a crucial part of Thirsty Sword Lesbians. What? What a surprise. And the emotional support move exists to motivate and complicate those moments. First of all, this is the central way that characters can help one or another recover from conditions. Yes, second, can be a ton of fun when emotional support goes awry. Maybe you put your foot in your mouth by saying just the wrong thing, or maybe you're starting to forge a deep connection and your lips are just an inch away from theirs, and then the window shatters and your nemesis rolls in, swords drawn. Rough. Support means different things to different people. It might be a heartfelt conversation, sitting quietly and watching the flow of a river, blowing off steam with a rough and tumble match of Space Derby, or a roll in the hay. A person might open up by spilling their life story, by shedding a silent tear, by leaning against their friend's shoulder. Whatever feels meaningful to their characters is fair play. What's rough? So I'm guessing if emotional scenes are fine, you have no problem with me bawling mid-game? Hope so. Atla quotes. Ah. I don't know what Atla quotes. What is? It's entirely possible that your caring gesture prompts the recipient to become smitten with you. In this case, they may benefit from being smitten with you and may choose an additional option from the list. Yay! Oh, Avatar The Last Airbender. Of course. Yes. My girlfriend became the moon. That's rough, buddy. Right. My girlfriend became the moon. That's rough, buddy. Okay, so fun thing, Ellie B. Whilst I do know the secret tunnel, that's all I know. I have never watched Avatar. I only know Secret Tunnel because of Brendan. Brendan and Daria were both... Oh no, Brendan and Dan were singing it. And I was like, don't know this reference. I assumed it was a reference, but I didn't know what it was. Oh my god. Yes. Yes. Oh my yes. Having a watch party in September then. All of it? I will host that watch party. I mean, okay. Yeah, no, it's just not something I ever crossed my path. I was either a little old or a little young for it, I think. But one way or the other, I just never did. Then we can play. My girlfriend made me watch the entire thing. If you check my YouTube, ! YouTube, I know, XCat, I know. I am aware. I don't have the freaking time. I'm still trying to catch up on Andor. Yeah, if you check our YouTube, you will find a campaign of Avatar in the Avatar setting run by the marvelous Rhythm in the Mind, my splendid younger sibling. And I was just like, yeah, heck yeah. And I was, when I was first told about it, because I am not 100% certain, but I'm reasonably confident that that was the first ever streamed game of Avatar, the RPG system. Because it was still in Kickstarter when we did it, we wrote to the Kickstarter peeps and said, hey, do you want to send us the preview copy and we'll run it? So if we weren't the first, we were one of the very first streams to run it. Yeah. Painting session whilst watching. Oh, Red. Oh. I mean, yeah. Law writes never watched it either. Good, I'm not alone. Multitask, gain time. True that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm down. I'm all the way down. I'm down like, not a clown. More like... Could I be down like a puppeteer? Kate hasn't watched it either. Okay, well, look, Kate, you're going to have to learn to paint. I have many models for you to practice on. Watch party! Oh, I got the background for my mice today. Woo! Now I need to fix and add my cameras. Kate paints. Oh, good. Okay. I did not know this, Kate. I apologize. Excellent. Glad to hear. You've painted on stream. With Split the Party. Oh, okay. Fair. Same. Briefcase. Yeah, I know. I love Briefcase. Matt from Split the Party was in that Avatar game. That what I spoke about just now. Yeah. That's... So it was Rhythm made the overlay and all of that stuff. When Matt started running his Avatar game, he asked Rhythm for the stuff that he made. It is a small world. Yeah. No, it was Matt Brown, AJ Winters, Dan Swelto, and Axel Bevington. That was the last one. And in the very, very, very first session, it wasn't AJ. We had Tom Moore from Nerds of the West instead. And that one was over on Roll with Roll for Damage. The first 5, I think, episodes were on Roll for Damage, and then we moved it over here. Yeah, Axel. Ellie, do you know Axel Bevington? I have a few tiny player character minis that I should paint at some point. After I finish my White Dragon, kind of... Love Axel. Yeah, I love Axel as well. See, I was the one who introduced Axel to streaming. I met them on a film set. And we were chatting about D&D. It's a small Perth after all. Yeah, exactly. I got to play an in-person one-shot with Axel for Valentine's Day. Such fun. Yeah. Oh, no, not again. Yeah. No, Axel's a sweetie. Yeah. And we were looking for more players. And Axel is a nicely diverse person to include. So, yeah. And yeah, Nova from Roll for Damage was like, oh gosh, Josh, you gotta help me out. I need more diversity in my streams. I want more diversity in my streams, but I don't know where to find it. And I was like, that can be hard. Yeah. So when I bumped into Axel, I was like, hey, do you have a Discord? Can we friend? Yes. Axel's great. Like Axel. Axel's partner Lux was in the first season of Monsters and Magic, who I met through Axel. My favorite variation on the "oh no, not again" help. It's again. I don't know that one. You've been on stage with Lux. Excellent. Lux does Disney and drag, and it's amazing. All right, let's keep looking at the thing. What I want to do, special moves. Call on a toxic power. When you call on a toxic power, ask it your question and roll spirit. Help, it's again. It's my favorites. It answers the question and grants you +1 forward to act on the information. Ooh. It answers the question, the GM chooses one. It takes something from you, either knowledge, reputation, or something physical. You mark a condition, it gains a string on you. Toxic power. The world you inhabit likely contains toxic powers such as evil gods, exploitative corporations, oppressive space popes. That's the sequel. Thirsty Sword Lesbians face off against the oppressive space pope. Space pope? Tree pope. But that's a nice... Tree popes are nice things. Short version is his character got stuck in a sinking pit thing and shouted, "Help! It's again!" Oppressive space popes. Oh, your gods. Patriarchal governments, you can approach them and you may even find them helpful at times, but those with strong spirit, but only those with strong spirit can engage with them and emerge unscathed. Yeah. Plural. Popes. Oh, absolutely. Progressive space popes. That would make sense, Ellie B. Reckon we could steal this for Teens in Space. There are an awful lot of crossover... Yes. Agreed. Oh no. End of session. At the end of every session, each player marks XP if, during the session, a player character confessed their love, a player character struck a blow against oppression, say against an oppressive space pope, or de-escalated a violent situation. Any player character leapt into danger with daring and panache. Any player used a safety practice such as adding to the palette or checking in. The two sides of space potpourri. That's different again. Is space potpourri. It's this nice smelling little bits of moon dust, spritzed with Lynx Africa. You mean the two smells of space potpourri? Yes. Every time in session. Someone says, tweets in space, I get an image of Skylar's crest popping up. I mean, soon, Terrace, soon. Terrace, you did get the message about not this Wednesday, right? I'm afraid, sadly, ladies and gents, we will not be doing our Teens in Space tomorrow night, because life happens to people sometimes, and that's completely fucking fair. But we are rescheduling at the moment, and we'll find it. We will find the time. We want this to happen. Moondust and links. So you get sick from the radiation and have to smell moon dust. Yes. A devolution of ideas. Yes. Oh gods, why? No. I can smell that now. Sorry. Each player character marks XP for each condition that is met by anyone in the group. In other words, each player character marks the same number of XP as the result of this move. Cool. Space locker room smells. Space teenage boys room smells. Making characters. Yes, good, yes. Alright, yes, good, yes. Alright. Step 1. Choose a playbook that represents the emotional conflict and archetype you want to embody. Step 2. Fill out the prompts from your playbook, picking your player character's abilities and defining their look, name, and pronouns. Step 3. Introduce your character to the other players. Reveal through their inner conflict enough of their inner conflict that for the other players to understand what you're hoping to explore. And 4, use the relationship worksheet to flesh out some history between the player characters. Good. Yes, it has. It's canon. Space smells like a teenage boy from the 90s room. Just space potpourri. Not all of space. I don't want to be flying around in space going, ugh, Africa, ugh. I have Link's Africa body wash in the shower right now. The trick is, this is the trick, as most people of a lady persuasion would know, it's about how it interacts with your body chemistry. The smell itself might be not unpleasant, but if you add it to you, and it cannot be. The trauma. Who decided to punish you? It's my mum, actually. It was a Father Christmas present, I think. Yeah, but still standards. Yeah, look. You don't come out smell. It washes off immediately, but it's quite a good soap. Step 1. Choose your playbook. It's not hard. Players must each choose a unique playbook. The universe can't handle 2 scoundrels or beasts. That's interesting. Each player character is created using a playbook. Each playbook describes a broad archetype of a character with enormous room for customization. Look for the playbook whose central emotional conflict is the one you're interested in exploring for the story. For instance, the trickster desires closeness but fears vulnerability. The spooky witch is friends with monsters but wants to be accepted by others. The infamous has a villainous past and is trying to do better in a world that holds them to a higher standard than others. Within these broad strokes, your character can be anything that makes sense in the genre of the story your group is looking to tell. In a fantasy setting, there is no reason the trickster can't use magic as the flavor for their powers. If you're a thirsty space lesbian, you can have a laser sword, and your nature witch can commune with the artificial environments and robots, as well as biomes and animals. Each playbook can include some example archetypes for you to use as inspiration. Cool. Space popes are canonically dirty. Very nice. Very good. Very good, Ellie. Cleanliness is next to godliness, which is why the space pope is in need of all the space potpourri they can drench themselves in Link-smelling stuff. I have a nice, 90-year-old lady in a tiny market that makes soaps and scents to order. I buy a year's supply at a time of a custom scent: cinnamon, cedar, clove, and sandalwood. Like a baptism, but it's dunked in links. Once a villain has passed. A would-be time traveler, I see. Very well, Ellie B. If you are overtired, then that is completely fair, my dear. Take care. Yeah, that's awesome. Private Schoolboys 101. Yeah. Fill out playbook. After picking character playbooks, each Player fills in the blanks and customizes their character. Specify your character's name, pronouns. Choose a column of stats you find most appealing and modify it by adding +1 to 2 stats of your choice, recording the totals in your stats column. Oh, okay, so there is no rolling for stats, which I don't hate, because it means everyone is balanced. There is a lot to be said for the humble standard array. Since Space Hilux became Spilux, does Space Lynx become Spinx? Or do you have to worry about it's too similar to Spanx? Maybe. It's a nice scent. The playbooks sound like Monsters of the Week. Well, exactly, and Monster of the Week, yeah, very similar. It's not the only system to use it, though. I've encountered 2 or 3 in the last several weeks that use the playbook system, but it is a very good system. I believe Call of Cthulhu uses playbooks. Could be wrong, but Sphinx, yes, yeah. We were at an improv show, and there was 2 characters who called each other Space Wife and Space Husband, and it became Spife and Spusband very quickly, and then everything that was space orientated just had sp at the beginning of it. I'm just going to my spjob. It's my space job. Do love some Monster of the Week, though. Yeah. If I use any form of scent, if I want to feel fancy, I tend to go with a tiny bit of Tiger Balm. I love the smell of mint and camphor. Ooh. Yeah. I've never considered using Tiger Balm for that purpose, but yeah, valid. When you filled out everything in the playbook, pause and wait for the rest of the group. Then do the last step together. Introductions. When everyone is ready, take turns introducing your character to the other players. Say their name and pronouns, describe what they look like, and a little bit about their personality. Share their emotional conflict, even if other characters don't necessarily know all about their angst and the dark secrets. It's helpful to the players to know enough that they can help set up situations that play into the plots and feelings you want to explore. Therein lies an interesting and difficult thing, because that means you're going to have the line between church and state, between Pope and space, between what you yourself knows and what your character knows, and that's often tricky. What I'm getting from this game, more than anything else, is I think it is a game for experienced role players. This is not because it does say you don't have to have played one before, and that's fair. Not gatekeep that, but I would suggest that at least most of the players were experienced role players. If you're wanting to learn to role play, if you're wanting to learn D&D and stuff like that, it's always good to have a few more experienced players on hand anyway. But yeah, because separating character knowledge and player knowledge is hard. Not metaring is tricksy. The line between Pope and space. Yeah. You keep banning me from the perfume counter in the department store. I am pro Neroli and orange as my scent of choice. Oh. I just bathed in Chanel number 5. Like, if I have to use it for a sore spot, I have to say, oh dear. Or it'll rip off my hair. Dear me. Lavender for LEB. I have several aftershaves, all of which have been gifted to me, which is an interesting thing, because again, it interacts with your body chemistry differently. The very first one was ever given to me, I still have, because I was at... You know, the dinner party sort of come around and everybody, they get a person in. It's like Tupperware, but it was like a Tupperware party, but it was for makeup. And my mum invited a bunch of her friends over, And the person came and showed them all the things. And they had a smaller but very nice selection of male scents, masculine scents. And but no one had brought their husbands or anything. So my father and I were summoned as two, broadly speaking, masculine people to be covered in scents, and we both found one that we really vibed with. So my mum bought it for me, and I've still got it. I just like getting perfume or bath gels as gifts. I feel like people are subtly telling me I stink. It's a tricky thing, isn't it? Yeah. Oh no, I'm allergic. I don't. So I won't. I'd ask don't stand next to me while you wear it. Oh, lavender. You're allergic to lavender. An MLM shindig. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, yes. Yes, a multi-level marketing shindig. Yes, exactly. I'm very sensitive to scent, so most perfumes, aftershaves, hair products, and deodorants are a no-go. Noted. Yeah. I've been there. Yeah. Summoned as the token masculine person in the house. Good portion of my childhood, because my dad was often away. Each playbook comes with specific prompts to help establish the starting relationships and history among the player characters. Your GM might also use a custom set of relationship prompts connected to specific scenario they plan to run. I very much favor the one from Teens in Space. I think it's a really neat one. It's quick, but also very effective. Though Monster of the Week has a really cool one that is quite similar. But I was more involved than the Teens in Space one. I've been there, but in reverse. I was the only sister in a family of boys. Gross. Yes. What fun for you. Kate, and you are not obliged to answer this, but I am curious. Are the rest of your family as physically possessed of similar physical statures to you? Let's put it that way. I go out with a lot of my lady friends, and the number of times I'm asked to try clothes on, or let them spray me, give my opinion on a masculine thing, I'm like, guys, I have a lot more in common with you. Cool. Well, let's see if we can find some playbooks. There we are. The playbooks. Comes up next. We all long in the beans. Yes, the shortest of the siblings is 5'11". Wow. Each player character in Thirsty Sword Lesbians is defined by their playbook, which provides unique abilities and challenges. Each playbook is a combination of fictional archetype and particular internal emotional conflict. Go to swordlesbians.com for free downloadable playbooks with trackers for conditions, XP, and advances. Cool! Love it! The playbooks in this chapter provide a more in-depth look at each playbook's options, features, and conflicts. Aloe products for soap, lotion, and shampoo conditioner, because perfume-free deodorant, and tiger balm if I want to be fancy. Yeah, I'm the shortest in my biological family at 5'8". You see, you're taller than I thought you were, Ardana, I'll be honest. I suspect it's probably camera angle, but because I've only ever known you through a camera, I genuinely thought you were shorter. I've made goat's milk soap before. That stuff is so nice on your skin. Oh, hell yeah. Seeing as everyone's sharing, I'm 6 foot even. 181. Which, you know the Vitruvian Man, the bloke standing, the Leonardo da Vinci, the big, the dude, spread-eagled, which indicates that your height should be your arm span. If that was the case, I would be taller than Kate by some considerable margin. I have an arm span, because I am quite broad in the shoulder, and I have gorilla arms, of 2 meters and 5. Yeah. Yes. Red is quite small. Yes, okay, playbooks. Oh, look at that. The beast. She is fierce. Somewhere around 5'11". I love everyone sharing. Who's tall as your husband? Spuzbund? Okay, this is 6'4" and a bit. Yeah, wow. Terrace, your partner is a jockey, right? I'm somewhere around 5'11", 6 foot. Even I'm unsure. Somewhere around there, yeah. I only know because I've been obliged to, because a lot of doctors and things throughout the course of my life. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was 7. It led to my entire family being diagnosed, the ones that hadn't already. Basically, it was like hey, this one, look, this is a lot of you, actually. Maybe the rest of you should get checked. Turns out it's genetic, but only in my family. It's not normally. But my family are weird. So yeah, my entire maternal family are all hypothyroidism, and now most of us are hypothyroid because we've all had it killed. Ours all work very, very hard. So I was very tall at a very young age. I've been 6 foot since I was 14, and when I was 12, I was 5'10". So I was very, very tall from a very young age. So I was the very tallest, and then everyone caught up, and it was weird. Your younger sister is 6'1". Scandi. They are big. He wanted to be a jockey, but his mother wouldn't allow it. He ended up training horses outside of the racing industry. Good. I mean, yeah, the racing... Terrace, what is your opinion on the racing industry as somebody who works with horses? It's been a while since I was measured... Not that my height has changed, but I forgot. Able to count your height in school years. An inch a year. Okay. The Beast follows their truth and their passions, which puts them in conflict with civilization and civilized norms. Unless they give up what makes them special and powerful, they cannot make themselves acceptable to that civilized society. I vibe with that already. Oof, that's harsh. Their central conflict is living their truth versus fitting into the dominant social order. That was basically any neuro-spicy person ever. Example archetypes: a ranger between the worlds, bitten, raised by beasts. I think the racing industry is inherently cruel. I worked briefly as a strapper for a racing stable that will remain nameless and can attest to the fact that just about everything racing stable is abusive. Oof. Noted. Thank you for your candor. Aesthetics. Circle or invent one for each. Wild demeanor, hungry demeanor, piercing demeanor. Ooh. Torn clothes, practical clothes, chitinous clothes, raiders' clothes, a cold wrought sword, a sword of teeth, a found sword. Stats. Choose one column of stats, then add one to each, to 2 different stats. So it's a +1 in 2 things, a +0 in 2 things, and a -1 in 2 things. And you can't ever be particularly good at spirit or wit. They are very daring creatures. They might be quite heartfelt, but might not. And they might be quite graceful. But if they are graceful, they're not very heartfelt. And I would always leave the -1. Because being bad at something is cool. Yarg Grimflang could be a beast, yes. Feral. You may walk in civilized circles, but sooner or later your feral truth will become to the fore. Ooh. Your feral score starts at 1. If it hits 4, you can't hold back the beast any longer, and you transform. Roll out. Your feral drops to 0, you lose access to your beast playbook moves until it increases again. On the plus side, you're fitting in, you blend, you've assimilated. Oh, that's not necessary. I hate that. Increase feral when you express yourself in a shocking way through your appearance. You display intense emotion that society wants you to conceal. Decrease your feral when you feel that your bestial nature has hurt someone you care about. You go along with an uncomfortable interaction to fit in. Oh. Dear me. Or Cal Hellhound. Playbook moves. Transform. You have a bestial form which you can assume at will and must assume whenever your feral hits 4. When you do so, tell everyone that the beast what the beast in you looks like. Increase your feral to 4 if it's not there already, and roll daring. Which you would inherently have a +1 at least at. So, chances are you'll get a 7 to 9, statistically. Just made me imagine a skin-tearing werewolf transformation, but only for Optimus to burst out, transform, and drive away. Yeah. Or you flip it and it's a werewolf, but it makes their legs fold backwards and it's very Beast Wars, isn't it? Because that's the next one, isn't it? You're in harmony with your beast and you may clear a condition. Cool. You are magnificent and little escapes your notice. You gain leverage on an opportunity with a monster. Dope. Pain is nothing to you. Next time... Ignore the next time you would stagger while transformed. You can move in ways no ordinary person could. You revert to your usual form when your feral drops below 4. While transformed, you may mark a condition to avoid reducing your feral as often as you like. Cool. I love the original Beast Wars. Oh man, it was so... Yeah. That was a thing. It was a thing in a time. Big Dyke Energy. When you make it clear to your foes that you're the biggest threat, then for the rest of the scene, whenever you roll a 10+, you may choose someone present to be impressed or intrigued with you. Once during the scene, when you gain a string on someone, gain an additional string on someone else who considers you an enemy. Ferocious. When you fight, you may mark a condition to choose an additional option, even on a 6 or less. Wow. Shameless. When you say aloud that you want what you want from an NPC, you may give them a string on you to ask a question about them from the figure out a person move. For a very old 3D show, it aged really well, aside from one joke that refers to Transformers using very small measure of data storage by modern standards. Wouldn't mind that in real life, Dragonkeer. Yeah. Which one? All of them? Big Dyke Energy. Yeah. I know a couple. Tenacious Purpose. When you commit yourself to a specific goal, you may ask the Game Master once per scene how you could advance that goal in a way that violates civilized norms. Take a +1 forward to act on the answer. If you refrain, it counts as an uncomfortable situation that reduces your feral by 1, and you must mark a condition. Cool, I like that. When you investigate a person's living space, camp, or trail, you can, or an object important to them, you can roll +1 heart, or instead of wit, to figure them out. Oh, because your wit's always going to be fairly low. And may do so even when they are not present. You can also ask the question, where did they go, as if it were an option on the list for that move. On a 7 to 9, they take a string on you instead of asking a question back. Say why. Do they smell that good or that fearsome? Interesting. Truths of Heart and Blade. Smitten Kitten. When you become smitten with someone, say why and give them a string and answer this question. Oh, what have you done that they are sure to view as inappropriate? The Bloody Truth. When you figure out a person in physical conflict, you may additionally ask these questions on a 6 or less. What awakens the beast inside of you? How could I get you to kiss me? Playing the Beast. The Beast is wild and untamed. Despite pressure to conform to the ways of a dominant society, your feral track measures how much you are assimilating versus celebrating your true self. To get the most out of your conflict, think about what you find appealing about the civilized world and what you find abhorrent. How do they try to get you to conform? Do you resist out of instinct or principle? You know what? It just occurred to me, a fun way to play this would be a drag king or queen. And the beast, the animal form, without wanting to be in any way insensitive, is that they transform. On goes the makeup, on goes the wig, and they become their drag persona for their fierceness. Could be kind of neat. Instead of going the werewolf route or the also cool to play a robot, a dead set actual transforminator. You know, immediately my brain goes to, how could I do this in a way that isn't the obvious werewolf situation? Slash shifter. Thank you. This playbook is designed to celebrate those of us who are treated as less than human because we don't fall within the narrow confines of what is accepted as a dominant group. I reckon the Beast would be very popular. Because, just given conversations I've had in the last week. Alternatively, they're a furry. Yeah, I like Dalek in disguise. Transformers, Daleks in disguise. Autobots, roll out and exterminate! Or, alternatively, X-Cat, Dalek is disguise. Yep, Red. Yep. You feel fully secure in yourself and no longer feel the pressure of the dominant society so keen. If you feel fully secure in yourself and no longer feel the pressure of the dominant society so keenly, consider living happily ever after or adopting a new playbook. We unleash the Karen! Draglek! Yes! I'm trying to like, the brain is now going through every Dalek quote and seeing if they can make it work with a drag themed exterminate. It's the best I can do, really. My brain's not on it tonight. You become a concept in place of a werewolf. Yeah. You transform your character just becomes a metaphor. Good gods. Please, though, please. Conversely, if you bow to society and abandon your beast nature, you might become a devoted, who conforms to a set of rigid tenets and doesn't practice good self-care. Or you might become a trickster, wishing for the connection but afraid to show your truth. One path you probably won't take if you abandon your bestial side, though, is living happily ever after. At least, not yet. I will make you a deal. Yes! A deal with a dragon. The pirate makes a deal with the dragon. Alright. I love it. Josh, full stop. It expresses exactly... I was like, I can hear Red's words. You make a Draglek, and I will proper shoot you with my TARDIS. You know the little silver domes on the bottom, on the skirt of the Dalek. Karen, we've had a terrible idea. Dragleks. As in Daleks. Sorry? She's telling me to stop. Oh, that's rough. I have done more than cosplay. As a Dalek, I think I've told this story on stream before. I have, I told it. I typed it on Reds. When I was working in Holt, they were trying to break the world record for most Daleks in one place. They failed miserably. The most Daleks in one place currently, or at least at the time, was like 65. It was quite a few. And I walk out of the place I was staying. It was a share house, into the main high street, and almost trip over a small child dressed in cardboard boxes with a plunger sticking out the front. That one didn't count because, for the purposes of the Guinness World Record, there was sort of a minimum level Dalek criteria that they had to achieve. This little village in the back end of Norfolk had like 3 pubs, a fish and chip shop, half a dozen other shops on the high street, and for some reason, a shop that was specifically Doctor Who merchandise. Don't know why. But the guy who ran the shop was just obviously massively into Doctor Who and had organised this world record attempt. And he'd gotten in contact with the BBC and said, hey, I'm going to try and do this. It'd be really great for your publicity. Would you send me a couple to help with the attempt? And they were like, yes, on the condition that you have qualified technicians there to put them together and showcase them properly. And he was like, I would do that, yes. Yes, we will do that. And then he's like, fuck, where do I find those? So the only thing that the village really had that might have helped was the school I worked at, where I taught in the theatre. So I was also one of the technicians in the theatre, so he went to the school and was like, hey, you've got skilled techs, right? This is the only professional theatre for 100 miles. So yeah, we were like, yes, absolutely, we will do that thing. So I got to play around with the 1/4 scale TARDIS that they use for all the wide shots. Whenever it's flying in the real world, they use that one. They sent us a Dalek and Davros. Because I was the smallest, weirdly, I had to get in underneath and help clip all the things on. So I've sat where Davros sits in Davros's thing. Keep meaning to make Davros since this. Yes. Actually crocheted a Dalek a while ago for my girlfriend. I need to send that to her. I've enabled this by mentioning Daleks. This is the true power of chaos. Exactly. All the things you need. Yeah. Yeah. It was a really cool day. It was a great day at work. Very odd. But yeah, they only managed 12, and I was like, bullshit, there was more than that in the school. There was more than that when I walked out the front door that morning. But a lot of them did not meet the minimum level criteria for that event. And therefore did not count. I believe they only got to 12. And 2 of them were the ones I helped build. It's a shame I didn't know it was happening, but at the time I was not a big Whovian either. So it wasn't nearly as cool for me then as it was much later. I fell hard when I did. Hope this new RTD era of the Doctor Who... Yeah. Coming up gives us some neat Dalek variations. Yes. I am... Return of the Tenant. Yeah. The Chosen. Oh, look at that. Fabulous. The Chosen playbook revolves around the special status, relationships across social strata, and crushing expectations of fate, family, or the adoring public. Their central conflict is inner truth versus crushing social expectations. All of these are hurtful! I have never willingly watched an episode of Doctor Who. Is there a reason why, Terrace? You're just like, it's just not your thing? Which is totally valid. Or just, It's almost become a thing. Like, I strongly resisted Game of Thrones. For a very, very long time, I was like, nope, 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 you can't make me, you can't make me. And I almost regret caving, to be honest. I watched the first season when it came out and was like, my problem was I hated almost all the characters. And the only two I liked weren't doing so great by the end of the season. I liked 4 of them, and half of them had died already. And the others were doing really badly. I was just like, I just don't like these people, so I didn't watch it. But then Karen was like, hey, for the 8th season, can you catch up so we can watch together and I have someone to talk to about it? And I was like, all right, fine. So I had a binge and watched season 2 through 7 as season 8 was about to come out. And yeah, I kind of wish I hadn't bothered, because suddenly it was really good up until about season 4. But 5, 6, 7 were a bit crap. And 8, let's best not talk about it. I regret caving. Yeah. My mother used to watch it when I was little, and I didn't have the attention span for it, so I just sort of had a grudge against it. Oh, okay. Yeah, later seasons of Thrones were crap. Yeah, they were. I've replaced it with The Witcher, which is really good. Although, don't bother with the whole... There's the prequel series that they've made. And I was just like, this is unnecessary. Why did you do that? The books are far too long for me, given that I already have a massive backlog. I've been told what I was missing. You were a Whovian child. I have a partially created ace jacket for that reason. I got into it... I think I got into it when my oldest friend, Katrina, and I hung out for the first time in about a decade when I was in my early 20s. Because she was a massive Tennant fan. And she made me. And I was like, alright, yeah, look, this is actually pretty decent. And then I got into it quite hard. It's a hard one to fully create, yes. Witcher is real good. But if you want the true Witcher experience, play it. I started at Witcher 3, which is a really good game. Strong endorsement from me. I'm just going to read this. Yeah, you don't actually have to be good at it. The Witcher was enjoyable, but Henry Cavill left the show because the writers don't want to respect the source material. It's a whole mess. But he is doing Warhammer now, so that's a win, I guess. I know, right? I know! Who's he gonna be? Because he can't be Rebute. He can't be Rebute Gilliman. Robot Gilliman. Or whatever. He can't be. I'm still cranky because they cancelled the Fable game. Witcher 3 is... Like, I didn't play 1 and 2. I have since played about the first bit of 2. But I just found it impenetrable. Like, it's just... The gameplay wasn't as good. And going backwards is really hard. It's why I got into Mass Effect when 2 came out, but I deliberately went back and played 1 first, because I knew if I played 2 first, that I wouldn't want to go back and play 1 first. Or 1 afterwards, rather. I bought an Xbox One specifically for Fable, and I'm still salty. Rough, yeah. He also left because of Superman, but then they dropped him because the public... after the public announcement, and it was awful. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Dragon. Been reading through the Witcher House of Glass graphic novel, and I can read Geralt's lines in his voice from the games. Yeah. Thing I love about Cavill, the king of the nerds, our Lord and Cavill, is he has never sort of denied the nerddom. He has always owned it. Even when it could have been not as cool, and it could have hurt him. Is he not just the cavalry? Yes, very good. I love being able to change my internal monologue voice. All right, let's have a look at this. He and Vin Diesel both, I believe. Yeah, Vin is less famous for it, but yes, Vin is also a massive nerd, and it's fun. Yeah, I think my favorite story about Vin Diesel is that he taught Judi Dench to play D&D while they were shooting Chronicles of Riddick, and now she runs a game for her grandchildren, which is... I mean, I'd love to play D&D with Vin Diesel, but I would even more love to play with Judi Dench. I played through the main story and the 2 DLCs and really want to do it again, but some forced romances annoy the hell out of it. I get it that The Witcher 3 is for straight men and their power fantasies, so NB-Ace is not exactly their target demographic. Yeah, exactly. It's cool to not apologize for liking things. It is. I want to play with both of them. Yeah. Give me Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Hanks in that team as well. That'll be a fun day. Thinking of thirsty lesbians. Magical Princess, Pop Idol, Chosen One. Yeah. I've always wanted to play a Disney princess in an RPG. There's a druid that's essentially a Disney princess. If you're doing a horror campaign, I want Stephen King. Ooh. See, there's another thing I never got into. Have yet to read a Stephen King novel. Or I even watched a Stephen King film. I haven't seen Sixth Sense. Isn't it? My bad. I thought it was. Or is it M. Night Shyamalan? The Shining? Nope. Haven't seen The Shining. Butterfly Effect? You might enjoy knowing if you annoy Yen by being just the worst, she will throw you into a lake via magic. Yeah. You know, I've seen the Butterfly Effect, but it's not Stephen King. Yeah. The newest Ministries of the Stand was excellent. Miniseries of the Stand was excellent. Yeah. Haven't seen. I'm sure it is. Running Man? Nope. I'm not big into horror. Okay. Aesthetics. Stoic demeanor. Benevolent, as in you have to circle or invent one for each. Benevolent demeanor. Authoritative demeanor. Fancy clothes. Holy vestments. Clothes denoting status. A bejeweled sword. An ancestral sword. A holy sword. Love cosmic horror. Jump scares are not for me. Just preying on the animal brain bits. Yeah, I give that. I pay that. Managed to avoid the most romance BS in Witcher. The only one I can't dodge is the Kiara one to get the lantern. Yeah. Kira Metz. If you aren't big into horror, may I suggest you try his crime series, starting with Mr. Mercedes. Okay, noted. Stats. Choose one column of stats. So these ones are less on the daring side, but do tend to be graceful, as in are always graceful. But they might be lacking in spirit. They'll probably be smart or heartfelt, though. If you like fantasy, and I know you do, fairy tale. Okay. Eye of the Dragon was good fun. Stand Alone, he wrote for his kid. Oh. No, Feist. Huh? Destiny. They keep telling you that you have a destiny, but it's not what your heart truly desires. What is it? Destiny examples. Marry the Prince of Heteronormia. Be sacrificed to appease the horror. Banish magic from the world. Melt the heart of the undying one. You can tell because he writes both dog and boy so well. Ah. Choose 2 heroic aspects and choose 2 tragic aspects from the following lists. Then, when you act in accordance with one of your aspects, check it off and take +1 forward. If it's a tragic aspect, also mark XP. When all 4 aspects are checked off, describe how your destiny grows ever nearer. Then erase the check marks and start again. Ooh, that's cool as heck. I love that idea. Fairy tale is king, fairy tale is feist. Ahahaha. Right, there you go. Speaking of Disney princesses, I have to show you a screenshot from when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey as a male PC Alexios. Okay. I don't understand how that's going to relate to Disney princesses. I am curious. Portents and prophecies. Spiritual prowess. Heir to mystical power. Prominent suitors. Save your world. Soother of monsters. Helper of the masses. Chosen by God or a god. Legendary skill. And love that cannot be. Or act in accordance with one of your aspects. Okay. Tragic aspects. Love that cannot be. End of the universe. Lose those you love. Arch nemesis. Bitter rival. Betrayal. Seduced by evil. Coveted destiny. The end of love itself. Oh. A very fun concept. The Chosen is supposed to marry the Prince of Heteronomia, who is currently in the party in her true form. But no one knows. Okay. Chuck the hung, drawn, and quartered. Got more welcome aboards. LEB! I apologize, LEB. I didn't see before. Verified. Done. Excellent. Fabulous. That's fearsome. Yes. Fierce. Not fearsome. Fierce. Yes. Yes, Queen. Yeah. Ooh. Could do. Okay, there's a lot of other things. Right. Stop being distracted by Discord, Joshua. Finish reading the thing. And no, not a mod. The base game lets you do that. Excellent. Yeah, I love that idea, Terrace. I mean, you're one of the people I'm asking to play this with me, Terrace. You may fulfill your destiny in the course of play, or reject it so firmly that you no longer feel pressure to fulfill it. This deserves a climactic scene either way, and trying to reject your destiny draws the full wrath of your aspects and those pressing you to fulfill it. Afterwards, choose a new destiny, adopt a new playbook, or live happily ever after. Playbook moves. Start with a move marked and choose 2 more. So you get Fated Day Approaches. Whenever you miss an opportunity to make progress towards your destiny, choose 1. Someone with power over you makes an uncomfortable demand in furtherance of your destiny, backed by a threat. The player character you care about the most receives bad news or has an accident serious enough to make them stagger. The GM will tell you the details inspired by your destiny. They may wait until a lull in the action to drop the consequences on you. Don't know who I am? Don't you know who I am? When you meet someone who knows you by reputation, roll plus heart. Say 2 things they've heard about you. Say 1 and the GM says 1. Cool. To what end? Entourage. You have a group of loyal attendants. Name 3 of them who accompany you and choose a trait for them. Dangerous, fanatical, resourceful, charming. Choose a basic move. Your entourage grants you a +1 on rolls for this move when present. When you would stagger, you may choose instead for one of your named entourage to die. If you do, your entourage gains a string on you. Gossip. When you seek insight about a person by spending some time or gossiping with them, those who know them roll plus wit. You learn a dangerous secret and gain a string on the target. That's cool. You may also ask a question from the figure out a person move. You may ask a question on the figure out a person move on a 7 to 9. Someone you speak to who is dangerous to you may ask a question of you from the same list. Dice 1, dice 2. This one, that one, the other one, yeah. Guidance from above. You may petition a superior for guidance. They give you instructions and useful information. Mark XP or clear a condition. If you do as commanded, they gain a string on you if you do otherwise. Neat. Help me! You're a magnet for trouble and hunted by those who would use you for their own purposes. Mark XP when they defy disaster. Others mark XP when they defy disaster that would otherwise befall you. In addition, cool. Whenever you're captured, your captor reveals something they hope to achieve. Gain a string on them and mark XP. That's sick. I love that. That's very much the playing the damsel in distress card. That's cool. Know your place. When someone dares insult you, you deliver a scathing retort plus wit. Word spreads of your sharp wit. Take +1 forward and they choose 1. Or they just choose 1. Back down. Make a fool of themselves, attack you. Truths of heart and blade. Love is not my destiny. When you become smitten with someone, say why. Give them a string and answer this question. How do your respective stations make it impossible to be together? Inescapable conclusions. When you figure out a person during a physical conflict, you may ask one additional question from this list, even on a 6 or less. What do you hope for your future? What do you fear is your destiny? To be chosen in the face is to face the demands of others at every turn. You're frequently the center of attention, more often than not, because people want something from you. Your destiny gives you power and influence at the cost of your self-determination. You also have the opportunity to do a bit of world building. Who believes in your destiny? Do you have the whole religion behind you, or legions of fans? Your choice of destiny also affects the story of the game significantly. Work with your GM to make sure your choices fit the story well, particularly if they already have a scenario in mind. You can be creative in interpreting destiny aspects listed, or work with a GM to create your own. Acting in accordance with an aspect doesn't mean that the aspect has to literally happen. The end of the universe aspect doesn't require the universe to end, which is good, because we live in the universe, and if it's not there anymore, we're shit out of game to play. Instead, it's enough for the cracks in reality to show, for the chosen to give up a chance to delay the end, or for this looming aspect to otherwise influence the chosen story. If you fulfill your destiny and wish to change playbooks, any of them can work well. The devoted and the seeker continue themes of obligation, which may feel too similar to the chosen's theme, or may be a comfortable continuation. If you choose a new playbook and reject your destiny, you might overcompensate and become a scoundrel. You might even see the beauty outside of the strict dictates of your powerful society become a beast, or you might turn your power to the service of the unseen as a spooky witch. Very cool. I'm just curious what the devoted will be. Yeah, and look at the art! Isn't that freaking cool? Sidekick. Champion. Proactive. Protective friend. The devoted is a selfless protector committed to a person or a cause. Their central conflict lies in pitting this devotion against self-care. It looked like a cyborg a bit. The infamous. The infamous once participated in wicked deeds, but they've become fiercely righteous in trying to atone. The central conflict arises from the lasting consequences of their past actions and beliefs versus their new convictions. Will they repair the harm they caused? Will they seek forgiveness, or will they despair? Will they find a new place to belong? For example, former villain, escaped henchperson, veteran of dishonor. What else we got? The Nature Witch. Cute. Cute! The Nature Witch is deeply connected to their environment and less experienced when it comes to people. Look at the little dragon! Yeah. Prince Taj sees a peacock feather. Yes. They're either new to socializing or are newly exploring what it feels like to socialize as their true self. Their central conflict revolves around the growth that their explorations will require from them and those who love them. That's interesting. A wooden sword, a harmless sword, an elemental sword. Modest clothes, rough clothes, simple clothes, innocent demeanor, wise demeanor, sad demeanor. The sword actually belongs to the dragon, yes. The little dragon is in the chat. True. Look at the massive sword. Well, yes. Also that. It's just that the person is not very tall. Shh. Take care, X-Cat. Have a good night. I'm just scrolling through all of them to see what they all are like. What's this one? Trials. Ooh. Ride a fantastical creature. Win a duel. Fall in love. Stick up for yourself, though it breaks someone's heart. Lose someone you care about. Befriend someone very different from you. Liberate something. Guess someone dangerous. Small dragon. The Scoundrel. The Scoundrel is a hero of action and intense physicality. Their sword fights are punctuated by banter and flirtation and end in kisses as often as in bloodshed. Their central conflict lies in their urge to explore new horizons versus committing to purpose or security. Shimbo Pirate. Diva Fencing Champion, Dashing Duel Thief. Olenia, is that you? What? I feel called out. Liberate the progressive space pope. Yes. How very dare you. Donovan. She's wonderful. Okay, but hi, hello, this calls to me, yes. I think the game calls to me. I am really, of all of them that I have thus far looked at on a Tactics Tuesday, I have read this, I understand it, but I am yet to fully wrap my head around what it would look like to play. The Seeker comes from a toxic society and has found a new community in which to belong and grow. Their central conflict pits tradition and upbringing against justice and developing their personal values. An immigrant from heteronomia. Enclave raised, privileged background. Yeah, I know, right? Yes, yes. But don't give it away. Meh. Tradition is a measure of how much you feel your authority would change your behavior. Your tradition starts at 1. Gain a point of tradition whenever you take a personal sacrifice in accordance with your commandments. 2. A maximum of 4. When you hit 4 tradition, you will incur a condition each time you act contrary to your commandments. Spend tradition at any time to temper the wrath of the authority, or to take +1 forward to follow your commandments, or call on a toxic power. Spooky Witch! I think I know that person. The Spooky Witch is a weirdo who does their own thing while craving connection. They found that many monsters are quite friendly if you give them a chance, but befriending them brands you a monster as well. Their central conflict lies in navigating pressures to conform versus their own desires or those of their monstrous friends. Example, spelldancer, nerdy alchemist, speaker for the unseen. That's cool. I'm gonna love her. Yeah. She's fabulous. Love the eye and the sword. An eldritch sword, a bone sword. The bone sword is ready! Oh, it's bone... Bone saw, that was it. Cute picture. The trickster. Ooh. The trickster is devious and calculating. They fear closeness, sincerity, and vulnerability. If they show the truth of their heart, they'd be wearing a mask to do it. Their central conflict lies in desiring closeness while fearing vulnerability. Too many feelings! Your heart is as passionate as any other, but you bury it beneath layers of deception until you can't feel your feelings any longer. Start at 1 and increase it. This is Karen. Start at 1 and increase your feelings by 1 every time you gain a string. Someone gains a string on you, or you mark a condition. You may also choose to increase your feelings at any time. Anytime you find yourself gasping or swooning over someone. Strings assigned during character creation don't increase your feelings. There. When you open up to someone whose regard matters to you, reduce your feelings by 2. When you secretly perform a loving act for someone, reduce your feelings by 1. If your feelings at track reaches 4, you can't hold it in anymore. Tear off the mask and scream that you've been holding it in. Do what you've been afraid to do and damn the consequences. When you can give anyone present a string on you to gain a string on them. Stop when the consequences catch up with you for good or ill afterwards. Reduce your feelings to 0 and clear a condition. It feels good to get it out, at least for the moment. That's cool. And then GMing the game. GM moves. Highlight an adversary's appeal. Mechanical moves. Take a string on them. Describe why. Inflict a condition. Make them stagger. Offer them XP to make an unwise decision and potentially inflict a condition if they don't. Each playbook. Ooh, show them the consequences of failing to conform. Punish their friends for tolerating them. Or describe the collateral damage, physical and otherwise. Fascinating. Yep. So, custom GM moves for toxic powers trying to change the status quo. Alright, look. It is I've been here for 3 hours and I'm getting really quite wearied, but it's very cool. I think we have a vague idea of how the game works. I think it's a really different game. I'm very excited to try. Yeah, I'm really excited to try. And I'm going to prevail upon a bunch of the people who've been here this evening to try it with me. All in honor of Pride Month! Terrace volunteers self as tribute. Yes. Me. I accept your tribute. Yes. I will put together a team of differently LGBT-aligned people, and we will play! I may GM, I may not. I think I should. I shall hang and mod while it is played. Exactly. Excellent. Trips over Terrace to get the first in line to volunteer. Oh, my tail. Alrighty, guys, it's been a pleasure this evening. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out and chat. It has been lovely. I have felt very much appreciated and loved. I mean, I think I beat both of you by 2 days. Actually, Red, there was chocolate. That's true. There was chocolate. But, Red, no, I pitched this to them a while ago. I also mentioned you when I was pitching it. But yes, no. I have much love for all of the peeps who have been hanging out this evening. Guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging. Wait, what? I'm sorry, I knew them before I met you. You. Oh, Des is playing Diablo 4. Word. Okay, well. I can spell. No, the what was at the mention. Wait, what? Oh, I see, right. No, like, quietly, Ardana and Terrace and I were chatting about it, and I said I'd like to do this, and then I was like, I know some other people who might like to play, and Red's name came up. In fact, I think Red had said that they would love to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and I was like, I'll see if I can make that happen. Because doing things that Red likes is important to me. Because Red's a wonderful human being, and everybody should like Red. And if you could do far worse for a place to hang out on a cozy Monday night, or other nights, Red hangs out many times, than Dragon Keir's channel. You should check that out. It's been on the list for a long time. Same. Now, I've got to go away before they start complimenting me in retaliation. So, guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me this evening. It has been a genuine pleasure. Yes, melts into the shadows. Join us all in following Dragon Keir. They're splendid and wonderful. Thank you to the lovely mod assistance provided by Splendid Kate Sullivan and the Lawrite this evening. You guys are bloody champions. And guys, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been fun. I will be back on Thursday night for more Humblewood. With the gang. They have succeeded in defending Granny from the evil fells, of which there is upsettingly large numbers. And now they are planning a bid to overthrow the rigged elections in the Alderheart. But first, they must go to the plane of life to get a flower to rescue Eric's mum, who's not well, and they don't know why. Yep, sounds good. Given how much Red and I vibe, Terrace, you and Red would vibe. I am going to go and drop a raid now, I think. And look, it's the Eldritch Scribe is streaming. They're doing... And Mike Moans has got loads of people watching them, so I think we should go and drop a raid on the Eldritch Scribe. They are our stream team buddies. NVCDM likes Diablo 4. I've been informed. Yes, so Kate is a very good matchmaker. So Terrace and Lawrite would love Dragon Keir. Yeah, and vice versa. Yes. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. I've said thank you an awful lot, but it has been an absolute pleasure. It's been lovely chatting with you all. It's been lovely looking at this marvellous game. Hats off to... Top of the book. Evil Hat Productions and Gay Spaceship Games for a really splendid new variation on how does tabletop roleplay games. Excited to play. We will organize a time and I will tell everybody about it soon. So guys, throw your favorite raid emotes up in chat, tell Des where we came from, and show them the love like we always do. I'll be back on Thursday night, 7 p.m. AWST for more Humblewood, and then there will be more stuff in the future. Karen and I will be back next Monday night, I expect, we will, definitely, because new thing is happening. Can confirm, we are having a season of Major Magica, which is a different game that I looked at on a Tactics Tuesday, and we will be setting it in the Humblewood at the Avium, at the Wizard College in the Humblewood, and I will be joined by the Knight Geo from OzQuest, as well as Brendan Ellis from our Thursday night game, the marvellous Karen Schlink, and the Lawrite as well, for Monday nights, and that will be all wizard students at the Wizard School doing wizard things, and trying not to turn into ethereal horrors as they do it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. So that is this coming Monday. 7 p.m. AWST. So yeah, do all the things I said to Des and we'll go away from here now, guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out this evening. Say goodbye, everybody. It's just me. Damn it. Bye, everybody. Whee!